Okay. All right. Let me try this live stream thing. Let me kill that music. Let's hide this. Let's say hello to everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on the Multiboxology channel. Again, welcome, everyone. We're going to be doing some basic setup. You might have seen me do this on Twitch a few months ago. I didn't really like the way that played out. And when I recorded locally, speaking of recording locally, we'll start doing that now. Let me know if there's any problems with the live stream or anything at that point. I am pushing a lot of bitrate through the GPU for both streaming and recording locally. But when I was on Twitch doing this, I forgot to record my audio in the local recording. So I don't know. I could have ripped it from Twitch and fixed all that and gone through the motions to fix that up. But I felt, I don't know. We'll get back to that. But I didn't get back to it until now. So you might also hear the washer. We got about 25 minutes before I need to change the laundry over to the dryer. It's multitasking central around here. So hello, everyone. This is very small over here, I'll be honest, and it's difficult to see the chat. So I'm also, what you need to know on YouTube here is that when we're on 1440p stream, which is what we're here now, it's about a 10-second delay from the time that from the time that I notice what you say, and then I can respond, and then you'll see it. So if I notice it right away, it's 10 seconds. If I don't, it's going to be a little bit longer. But that's just the nature of the high quality streams. If we go to 4K in the future, it's going to be about a 30-second delay. So try to avoid the 4K streams when we're doing multiboxing like this and answering questions on the fly. But yeah, welcome everyone. Wearing familiar name, Azariah and Carl. Also welcome everyone else who don't feel obligated to say anything. Just hang out and watch. This will also be available VOD on this same URL afterwards, the Multiboxology/live. I don't know how you see the post VODs when there's a live stream going, so I don't know. This whole YouTube thing is new to me. Let me link this to, what is that? Copy clean link? What the hell does that mean? Anyway, let me paste this in the Icebox Discord. Because there have been some people who have wanted, they've wanted me to catch this live stream and go over this quick setup stuff. What you're also going to learn is that it's live Mirai is not as exciting as pre-recorded Mirai. Well, I'm playing in 4K. All that's fine, and I have no problem. I'm also local recording in 4K. It's just that I have to stream in 1440. I don't want to be on such a long delay. Jose, thank you. And do something for WoW. We'll see. We'll see if there's something for WoW in the cards. I don't know at the moment. Although I've been thinking about it for years. Let me tell you. Something like that, looking good. Okay, we'll see. I don't want to jump into it right away. I should have put the link in there when I went to go brush my teeth a moment ago. So we'll wait to see if anyone sees that and wants to step in here. Make sure that I'm in a few different Discords. I like to make sure that nothing is on fire before we dedicate our time to a live stream. Fun fact, though, I may seem extra boring today because I am very tired right now. I get up at 3 in the morning these days because I like it, but by the time it is now, it's almost 4 in the afternoon. I'm quite tuckered out, let me tell you. I'm quite tuckered out. So bedtime for me is in about 4 hours. So, I mean, that's, if you think about it, it's not really too different than someone who wants to stream at 6:30 in the evening and they go to bed at 10:30, you know, so it's not too different, but it is nearing my bedtime. If people are like, man, it's only 3:45 in the afternoon. Why are you so tired, Mariah? It's because Grandpa Mariah goes to bed early. It's so he can work out early in the morning. Get that out of the way. My cat is all up on the screen trying to watch it too. Outstanding. But we're just going to be going over the basic setup. I've yet to tie my Stream Deck in with this again. We're going to be zooming in because you can't see anything. Otherwise, you can't see anything on this screen here. So we got a little zoom in effect here that we'll be able to see what's happening as I go through this. This is a setup I had working, and the setup I'm going to be basing everything off of. I didn't practice any of this. I don't have any notes this time, so expect extra rambling. And again, the washers in the background. I could close the door, but it's complicated. Just know that that's what you hear in the background. Otherwise, there should be no other sounds in the background other than game sounds in the future. But we've got no music. It's just raw Mariah in the mic. So you're going to hear all the lip smacking, saliva shifting around in my mouth. Apologies, but some people like that from an ASMR standpoint. Maybe we'll just move to Twitch's hot tubs, beaches, and what is it? Pools, hot tubs, and beaches or something, and I'll just start an ASMR stream where I just lick the microphone. Not today though, not today. Anyway, we'll be going over the basic setup, getting Diablo Immortal set up. As we have said plenty of times, people have come into the Icebox to Discord and asked how to set this up. We always point people to the Diablo 3 setup because it is like identical, man. It is identical. This game, it plays very, very similarly to Diablo 3. So yeah. Building on a new computer, that's fantastic. I got 2 other people in another Discord who are talking about what they want to do. I told them they should wait for Intel HEDT in a few months. But if you wait a few months from now, you might be waiting a few months for something like the 4090 Ti or something else to come out later next year. So if you keep waiting, you just end up waiting indefinitely, right? So, but yeah, so I'm going to keep this open, and we're going to open a second window of Iceboxer and start fresh from there. One thing that you will have to have already done yourself is I've already added the game to inner space, which you can kind of see in the bottom right hand corner. You can't really see it, but I can hide my camera and you can see, add the game to, I don't have a zoom in for the menu. You'll just have to trust me when I say I've got Diablo Immortal set up here, and you'll need to have added the game yourself as well. So you right click on the inner space tray icon, go to add game. This pop-up comes up. If I can drag it over here, this bad boy right here. And yeah, okay. And you'll just drag the I guess I can open that up. No. So you can drag the Diablo Immortal launcher over to this window and just drop it in, or you can just hit there's a little dot here, like a file browser for you to just search for the program yourself. So you can do that. I've already done that, of course, and I can minimize this. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. Just that, starting from fresh. The 13900, I hate the naming scheme that Intel has going for themselves right now. It's such a terrible naming scheme. The 13900K. It got bad when they, in my opinion, of course, they got bad when they went to the 10900K, and it got a little ridiculous from there. I'm still rocking a 9960X on my main machine here, and I guess I can kind of see it. It says 3.1. That's its stock clock, but I don't even have it turned up. Hold up, let's turn it up. But it sits at a nice 4.8. So that's what I've got it overclocked to. Yeah, and then we'll be running off of, don't mind all the drives. We run it off of 3090 down there. If I can, it's a little weird because we're partly zoomed in on the desktop and part of it's not. So, yeah, that's what we'll be doing today. That's the multiboxing rig. This is what I built years ago. This is what I built years ago to 10 box WoW. Moving into Shadowlands. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen now, did it? So I guess we can get this show on the road then. Yeah, I wish I had the IPC of the newer chips, though. That's for sure. That's why the Intel HEDT stuff is going to interest me later next year. I think I'm pretty good for now. But I don't know. I've benchmarked a lot on these CPUs I've had over the years. Unfortunately, Rift is quite a hog, though. I doubt I could do 20. I'm pretty sure I could do 10, though. I could do 5 pretty comfortably. I think it comes down to the 30. I think it comes down to the fact that I like to play at a nice, large, modified 4K resolution, so it eats through a ton of GPU. Plus, I like to turn my settings up, so that's another thing. I don't know. We were talking about Rift the other day, so that's probably in the cards coming in the near future. I keep talking about that because it's like I kind of want to play the game before it goes away, you know. Yeah, but that 10700K's probably got better IPC than I've got. I've just got more cores, more threads overall. But without further ado, I guess we can fire this up here. I'm sure everyone's watching who wants to watch. So, and if they don't, again, it will of course be available in the VOD. And because I'm recording locally, I will hopefully be able to chop this up and put up something that is just the raw information here. So yeah, we're going to open up another Icebox. It should open in the same spot, hopefully. There it is. Okay. Just going to go to File, Clear. Oh, it's going to start the spin cycle. Let me know if that's too annoying and we can, I'll sit like this. We'll point the microphone away from that side of the apartment. Oh, sorry. I said no further background noise, but my neighbors, they walk around like they have, I don't know, the heaviest boots filled with rock. I don't know. They have the heaviest footwear on and they make a ton of noise. It's unbelievable how much. I've never met anyone who's walked around. They must just be digging their heels into the floor. I swear to God. It is unreal how much noise they make. They've only been here for a few weeks. I'm really tempted to go upstairs and be like, hey, can you guys just stop like walking around like that? Like, how can you understand that your floor is my ceiling, right? You do understand that? I don't know, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to do a file clear, delete it all. But there's a small issue with Iceboxer. It's an old program, and for some reason, it still can cache settings that you previously had. So what I also like to do is go to File, Exit, and then save that, and then reopen. Yes. Now what I can do is I can minimize this, and then this will be the fresh one. So this will be completely fresh. And we're just going to start with Wizards. Quick setup wizard at the top. It's not cut off. No, it's not cut off. All the way at the top, under the wizards menu. Again, you're pretty much following along with what would be the Diablo 3 setup video. Even though it's old, it still holds absolutely true. Okay, perfect. Perfect. I'm glad the mic is not picking all that up. So anyway, what game do we want to play? Well, it happens to be in the list. Diablo Immortal right there. If for some reason in the future your game is not on the list, you can always just go down to the bottom and it'll say other down here, which I can't show, but it says other at the bottom. Anyway, Diablo Immortal, because we're playing a Diablo Immortal. Next. Now this is where a lot of people get hung up on this step. They're concerned about this in the upper left. Oh, dude, I need to start this. Okay, now we got this. Perfect. Now we can all follow the mouse, so it's not too confusing. Hopefully that's not too stuttery. Windows 11 is weird, man. I thought it would be a better experience, and it's a pretty good experience, but there's some things that are just a little off about it. I don't know. Anyway, I do get better performance in some areas, but some things are just weird. Like I feel like this is stuttery now, where it was not stuttery in Windows 10. Anyway, so people get hung up on this box here in the left-hand side, the upper left here. And it says auto-discovered characters. Like if you already had characters that you'd logged in to certain games, they will show up here. But a lot of games do not store that information on the disk. So don't concern yourself at all about what's in this corner. If it's not there, it's not there. No big deal. Don't sweat it. Now, actual character name and display name for all intents and purposes in Diablo Immortal is going to be exactly the same. So we can just type in, and it's going to fill in the second field all by itself. So we can just type in generic character names. Before we hit enter to add that, you want to make sure that this, of course, this step right here is just going to be set from the previous step. So configure game based on Diablo Immortal. Inner space, launch information, this will be populated. If it's not populated, you'll pick this from the drop down on all the games. These are all the games I've got here. But that's what you will have added to inner space, what I showed earlier, from this menu, right? You do this, inner space, add game, and then it appears here in the game profile. So I've got launcher, but I've also got a direct launch. You can't directly launch this game. That was just for testing purposes, and it's left over. I've got a bunch of custom stuff set up in my inner space because I'm a pro power user, right? So I've got a bunch of stuff that you might not have. So you'll probably see Diablo Immortal default profile here. Just pick that, right? It's gonna be the launcher. And so we can just hit enter here. Real quick, we just hit backspace 2, enter, backspace 3, enter, backspace 4, enter. Boom, just like that. You see your character show up at the bottom here. That's going to be our character set at the end. Next step. Oh, you cannot see the very bottom. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that means we should bring this down a little bit too then. Okay, great. The whole zoom in thing is really crunching down on the screen. So I'm using like, I don't know, 15% of my screen right now. And if there's any questions along the way, feel free to ask. But again, we're on a 10-second delay, so I may be ahead of where your question's at, but we'll try to answer it anyway. So next, then name your team. Like a lot of this stuff, like step 1, 2, and 3 could probably be condensed to like one step. You know what I mean? So it's a little drawn out, but it is what it is at this stage. It's Iceboxer 2 is nearing public release, so I doubt there's going to be any changes to Iceboxer 1. So we'll just call this. We have wizards. We have everything set up, kind of. Not like set up, but like characters that have been created. So I've got wizards. I've got everything. I started with wizards last time. I played a little bit with wizards, like literally 30 minutes with wizards. So we'll just go with wizards again. But anything, we might switch it up in the future. I know Supernova has some barbarians that he really enjoyed. Barbarians are, pure melee. So I don't know about melee, but he's more comfortable with melee than I am. So I just like to stay ranged. But that doesn't mean I'm good at the game. I am not the action MMO pro player by any means. So that's the name of our team. Now, this is something that we're going to have to make a change to because of the stream. We'll make that change later, though. However, I do need to make a change now because since that last stream, I did move to Windows 11, and I do now run 125% scaling on my desktop in the operating system. So that's why some of this might look a little blurry, other than the fact that we are zoomed in, of course, but some of it might be a little blurry, and it's because of this scaling. If you are having scaling issues with Iceboxer, there's something in the FAQ to help fix that. I'm not going to go over that now. Just come to the Discord and ask that question. But what we need to do first is that because I'm using 125% scaling, the way I have all this set up is I have to go to use monitors, and there's a little right above my orange-brown circle. There's a little dot, dot, dot. If you're selecting anything else, that little dot, dot, dot is not there. Not the expand to modify dot, dot, dot. The collection dot, dot, dot is not there. So we have to click on use monitors, and then boom, to the right of collection, there's a dot, dot, dot. It's a little button. We click the button. So as I said, I'm in 4K. So that's 3840 by 2160. But as you can see, at 125% scaling, Iceboxer's detecting my display at 3072 by 1728, which is actually a valid 3K display. But that's not what I want to use. I want to use 4K, right? So you have to come in here. And a lot of people get tripped up on all these things. There's not a lot of documentation on this, but there's a little bit. I did a video a very long time ago which talked about this. It's an original old-ass OG Iceboxer video where I was going over window layout stuff. It's very cringy, but it does cover this right here. On top of that, I only have one display hooked up to my main computer. I have two computers, so I have multiple displays surrounding me, but I only have one hooked up to my main computer that I play games from. if you have multiple displays, let me back out of this for a moment. If you have multiple displays, and for some reason, when you click on this drop down is going to have a bunch of presets. So you're going to click on these, and you're going to see that, oh, there's all these presets. And you're going to have more than I will if you have got multiple displays, because it'll have presets for one display, it'll have presets for the other display, and it'll have presets for both displays, or all three, or whatever, how many ever you have collected. But what people have an issue with is that sometimes that whatever's going on, their main display is not acting as their main display in Iceboxer. So again, you'll come into use monitors, you'll click the little triple dot, and you'll see a list of displays here on the left. What you can do is with these arrows here, you can just click up and down, select the display, and click up or down. Like I can just add a dummy display here for a moment and show this, right? So you can see that display 1 is moving, and whichever display is at 0 at the top is going to be your primary display that Iceboxer is going to see as your primary display. So that's how you would do that. But I don't need to do that. We only have one display. What I do need to do is I need to tell Iceboxer that, hey, I'm actually playing at 3840 by 2160. Now, that's the bounds. The working area is what is your display minus the taskbar. Because there's two options, as we can see right here. There's an option for avoid taskbar. So when you have the avoid taskbar option set to true, then your window layout is going to avoid the taskbar. And that's what I like. But I have to, normally this is detected properly by itself. But if you have scaling on, sometimes it's wrong. So you have to come in here. And my taskbar is actually, Windows 10 was 40 pixels high. I am using, I don't know if it's because of scaling as well, but I am using the large taskbar in Windows 11. And it might be because of scaling, but mine is 60 pixels tall. I know this because I measured it in Photoshop. So I'm going to type in 3840 and 2160, but we're going to minus 60 off of that, right? Because that's the avoid the taskbar. So the working area is 2100. So we'll hit that. All that is set now. And everything, all of these are going to look the same. They're going to look exactly the same, but they're actually going to be, they're going to adhere to the actual proper dimensions of your display. And you can do that for, every single display you have in this list. Some people run per monitor scaling, and that can mess with things as well. So you might want to come in here and just adjust one monitor, and you might not have to adjust the others, but you need to make sure that these values show true to what you want. And of course, you can set these to whatever you want. Like if you only want to build a window layout for the upper left corner, if you want to build, like I've got a giant 4K display in front of me, but if I only wanted to use 2560 by 1440, then I could actually just set the bounds. I could just tell Iceboxer and lie to it and say, hey, it's only 2560 by 1440, and then of course adjust the working area properly. And then Iceboxer will only build the window layout to fit in that small little rectangle. And if you want that, some people might want that. So anyway, we're going to avoid the taskbar. We're going to avoid taskbar. Enable swapping, yes. Leave a hole. For me, yes, I like leave a hole. Maintain aspect ratio, yes. You can just set all these to true, and you'll get less options to go through. If any of these are set to false, if any of these are set to empty, you'll get both the true and the false. So again, we've got, you can kind of see that. So this top option says swapping, leave a hole, and that's it. The option right below it is swapping, leave a hole, avoid the taskbar, right? But if we set this to true, we're going to only have things that say avoid the taskbar because we want only to see that. So that's what we've got there. We're going to go with, actually, I like this layout, but I also forgot that we know how to set the preferred edge here to top. That's a spin cycle. You might be able to hear the spin cycle now. So we're going to set this to top. I've got 5 regions for 4 game clients because each of these is going to be a game client, and they're each going to swap to here. You'll see this better. If you're not familiar with the leave a hole option, you'll see it better once we're finally fired up and playing. There's some other things over here. If you need to use a video effects layout, you can do that here. That's kind of advanced. I would get everything set up normally before you start dabbling anything in VFX, although we might have time to set up a VFX layout today. And if you need to change, this gets complicated. There's a separate video on my channel that talks about 3D render and main window size. So you can check that out, but ultimately what you can do is you can tell the game to render at a lower resolution, and then scale it up. And it doesn't look good at all, but if you're trying to save some resources, that might help, but sometimes it doesn't help. I don't know. Most of the time, it just makes the game kind of look like ass. So really not something that I recommend. But also, again, I had just talked about if you wanted to mess with the monitor settings, you can do that, or we can come into the main window size. And if I wanted to set just something like a 2560 by 1440 main window size, then when I set the main window size, everything in here is going to actually, here. This is a default one, but this now you see, this is going to be 2560 by 1440, and the rest of these are going to adhere to that, maintain aspect ratio, et cetera, because that's what we've set. And if we can go even smaller, if you want to go like 1280 by 720, and any change you make on the right-hand side here is going to refresh this list. So it always disappears and you have to reselect. So there you go. There's 1280 by 720 on my 4K display, right? This is what it would take up. It would take up just this portion here. And this is exactly, but I don't need to do that. It's just an example. 0, 0. We're just going to use the default settings that it wants to use, and that's fine. And you can see there's a little gap here at the bottom, and that's because it is supposed to be avoiding my 60 pixel taskbar. So we'll hit next. Here is another setup option that people kind of get tripped up on. You don't really know the answer to this if you've not multi-boxed before, if you've not multi-boxed a certain game before. You won't know what to really plug into these areas. So for an action MMO, you're most likely going to want your foreground and your background frame rates to be exactly the same. Because what you're doing when you're playing an action MMO, usually, is that you're broadcasting your mouse all times to move your characters, right? So without getting too technical, because especially I don't know all the details, but games can only accept input when there's a frame. So if you've got your background game clients running at 30 frames per second and your foreground running at 60, there's 30 frames that those background game clients are not going to be getting certain input. So at times, if you have mismatched foreground, background frame rates, when it comes to a game where you're broadcasting all the time, like an action MMO, like Diablo Immortal, you may find yourself getting desynced a little more often than usual. It might kind of seem out of the blue. Some people experience that, others do not. It really all depends. Everybody's computer is different. Everybody's input devices are different. Everything runs different across the board. It's just something to point out, though, that we always recommend that you should run foreground, background the same. So I'm going to go 60-60 for now, but we're going to change this later. I will say, though, that if your hardware is not very powerful, you might just want to start with 30-30 just to see where everything's at. And again, we'll be bringing up, what was that? That was this right here. We can look at the task manager. We'll look at this later just to see how much of my threads are being eaten up on my cores and how much of my GPU is being eaten up down here. But I also have another overlay that I've got made custom for myself that we can also look at and see how much the game clients are eating up. So I'm going to start with 60-60 because it's nice and smooth for a 60 frame per second stream. But again, you might want to start with 30-30. These miscellaneous settings here, I wouldn't touch these. I don't know. I don't even know what master slot and master slot sleep. I've been using this program for over 10 years. I have no idea what these do. I know there's a little explanation down here. When you click these, you get a little excerpt of information. I refuse to read those. To this day, I don't know what they do, and I refuse to use them. Don't touch them. Just don't touch them. It's that easy. CPU hyperthreading, this is a thing that was put in. It could use a rename at this point. It should just be CPU SMT, which stands for simultaneous multi-threading. It's just that Intel calls it hyperthreading, and AMD calls it SMT, which is what its actual name is. And all that is that you've got a core, and then you've got a virtual core. I'm not going to get into that either. But the only reason that this is set to true or false is that when you use a round robin setup down here, there is a round robin setup. I don't know if you can see that exactly, but there is a round robin CPU strategy. What that will do is it'll pair up two cores with each other as opposed to just one. That's all that does. You don't even have to touch any of this stuff. This stuff right here, miscellaneous, just collapse it, pretend it doesn't exist. It's that easy. It's that easy. Anyway. 60-60 is what I'm starting with. Coming down here, this drop down, this is our CPU strategy. Now, no strategy is going to leave it as it was. Right now, we have nothing, so it's just going to set nothing. But if you come in here, you can come into this particular step later and just make changes here later if you need to. You can change the frame rate and go to no strategy, and it won't make the changes to whatever strategy you had set up. Round robin balancing, not something I recommend, especially for Diablo Immortal. I did some testing on this, and Diablo Immortal really likes to have all of the threads available to it. That was back on Windows 10, and it still holds true on Windows 11 as far as I've tested. So you're more than welcome to play around with this. Again, everybody's computer is going to handle this a little bit differently. People who have better chips than I do, although I still have a pretty powerful chip, you might be able to get away with less cores assigned to your game, but I mean, the game doesn't seem like it's that power hungry. I think it just wants access to a lot of space, though, in terms of resources, just in case it wants to spike and use some of those. I've tried to restrict the resources in the past, and it ran like ass, and I wasn't sure why. And it was the first game that I had to, even when it comes to World of Warcraft, I will still slice up my cores per game client and give it only so many cores. Same thing with Rift. Same thing with Diablo 3 worked that way just fine as well. But Diablo Immortal wants all of your power. It's not necessarily going to use it. In fact, it doesn't use a lot of my machine, but it just wants to know. It's like a cat, right? You close the door on the cat, and the cat's got to get in that goddamn room. And you're like, dude, don't come in here. Like, the cat needs the door open. Diablo Immortal needs to see all of your threads. That's the same thing. So anyway, I don't recommend round robin because of that. You could do select all CPUs with every window. Let's see, is that the one? No, okay. Don't select it. This is another one of those dedicate CPU one things that has to do with this, which I'm just not sure. You've got two real options here. You've got do nothing, select no CPUs, which means just let Windows handle it. Or you can select all CPUs with every window. That's a good place to start. No matter what is selected here off the bat, it might actually be set to round robin by default on your setup. Sometimes it defaults to round robin. I recommend not using that. Go to this step, bring down the drop down, select all CPUs with every window, hyper-threading, whatever. It does SMT, and that's fine. All these numbers after that don't matter. That's it. I don't want to dwell on this for too long because we're going to come back to this in a little bit. Finally, the last step. Now I'm going to show some advanced settings because I want to set something here. So I don't want, whenever we go, you know what, maybe I won't show that. Oh, well, here, that's fine. You know what, forget it. Forget the advanced setting. It's just to set the console key for Iceboxer, Interspace, and the video effects focus hotkey. We'll go over those later. So right here, you've got Shift-Alt-R and Shift-Alt-M. This is for repeater. Shift-Alt-R for repeater. Shift-Alt-M for key maps. This is going to toggle on the key maps inside of Iceboxer and the repeater inside of Iceboxer. You might want maps off and repeater on because this is a game that kind of just benefits from everything. But as your setup gets a little bit more advanced, you may want key maps on because you might have some special stuff set up. So broadcasting mode starts on in all windows. I don't like this. So I'm not going to select. I'm going to uncheck this option. You can leave it on. It is selected by default. I don't like it. I'm going to deselect it. I'll show you where to change it. Or I don't like it, but because you might leave it on, I'll put it on and then I'll show how to change that and remove it because that is a question that comes up. And then broadcasting toggle affects all windows. That's a tough one as well. You might want that. Again, I'll show where to turn that on and off. We'll just leave it off because that's a default. Now, if you have an Alt-GR key, there's an option here for that you have an Alt-GR key. This is going to be like a certain European countries, languages over there are going to have Alt-GR keys on their keyboard. If you don't know what an Alt-GR key is, you don't have one. Don't worry about it. Leave this unselected. What this is going to do, because Alt-GR, I think, is Shift and Alt together. I think it's a combo Shift-Alt. It removes some Shift-Alt default bindings that Iceboxer sets up. And I'll cover that in a moment. Hold the control. We'll be using this, but I'm not going to set this up here in the wizard. Also, what this should have defaulted to was generic broadcasting at the top. So if you're not on generic broadcasting for whatever reason, or you're flinging your cursor around, you hit the mouse wheel. Oh wait, what did I do? Oh wait, where am I? You want to be on generic broadcasting. Bottom option, right there. That's it. So toggle broadcasting mode. I forgot to change this. Toggle broadcasting mode. I do have a G502 Logitech mouse, and I do have Shift-Alt-R bound to one of the. I can't even show you. One of these buttons. Okay. If you're using a mouse button, you have to hover over this area. And so I'm going to click this. You can kind of see it move. Anyway, just trust me. It's bound to there. And I like that because it's at a finger's touch just a finger touch away from pressing this button, because you want to be turning things on and off. And this is true for any game that you're multiboxing. I always have this on my mouse. This is not a fun combination. Shift-Alt-R with, you're going to have to do the claw with your fingers, Shift-Alt-R on the keyboard. That's not exciting. That's not a fast press. But Icebox just sets up these weird these weird key combinations because it's trying to not conflict with anything else you might have going on. Do people have Shift-Alt-R bound by default? I would imagine that 99.9% of people using the program don't, right? So it's a safe key combination to use, and that's why it's like that. If you want to set this to F1, go for it, right? If F1 is your jam, it's right there by your fingers. If you want to bounce up and hit F1 on the keyboard, there it is, right? But again, I've got this as a button on my mouse, Shift-Alt-R. I just leave it as default so I don't have to mess around with too many default settings. But when it comes to toggling key maps, I do change this to Control Shift-Alt-R. So now I can just hold down the Control key and hit my mouse button, and it'll turn my key maps on and off. Anyway, I'll show where to change that as well. Now, we're going to finish this. This is the final step. We're going to hit the button. It's going to take a moment. It's going to populate a bunch of stuff. And we're going to take a break because my laundry just got done, and I have to put it in the dryer. Remember, I go to bed in about 3.5 hours. This sucker needs to be dry and folded before it's bedtime. So I'll be back like a minute, maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. We'll be right back. Okay. Time for a water refill. Just got done with the quick setup wizard. Now we're going to look through some things really quickly here. Kind of like we're going to speed run this. So characters. This is where our characters are. We made those characters on step 2 of the wizard. Here they are, right? Character 1 through character 4. They're up here under the character submenu, or tree, if you will. We'll call it a tree because it's a tree. You click on any character. You can see some of the stuff that's assigned to it over here. You notice these virtual files are assigned to it. That's good. That's what we want. That's going to keep our login separate because you can only have one Diablo Immortal game per Battle.net account. So we have to virtualize some stuff in the registry, and there's a Battle.net config file that gets virtualized as well. All that does is save, like when you log into the Battle.net launcher, you see you have to log in with your user and your password, and then some information. If you have an authenticator, it's stored in that registry key. Something else might be stored there as well, but Innerspace or Icebox or virtualizes those so that, because if you switched over to another launcher or another account in the launcher, it's probably going to ask for your authenticator again. And this way you don't have to do that. You still might be prompted every once in a while, like a normal account, to enter your authenticator stuff, but it's not going to happen every single time you change your launchers around or change your logins on the launchers. Jesus. Anyway, character set wizards, we'll get to that in a moment. What I'm getting at here is that if for some reason something changes in your game-in-game profile inside of Innerspace, that this is where this stuff is assigned. This is what you would have seen, this big long list of games on step 2 of the wizard. It's the same list of games that is, I showed earlier. If I hide that, it's the big long list of games that is right here in your Innerspace right-click menu. And that's what's going to be there, right? So if for some reason you change your install path and you need to update Innerspace, you format your computer, you reinstall Diablo Immortal to a different place, and it changes the install path or something, then you come in here and you're going to pick Diablo Immortal after you've told Innerspace where it is again. Come back in here, click Diablo Immortal. It's going to have the profiles down here, just like that. And that's it. There's a whole bunch of stuff up here as well. We won't be touching any of that. It's highly unlikely you will touch most of this stuff for a game, as most action MMOs are pretty basic, right? You're just broadcasting and fighting things, and every once in a while you need some round robin key maps to do attacks, and you need ways to resync your characters. Otherwise, it's mostly just focus fire, right? Don't die, dodge stuff, and focus fire. I make it sound a lot easier because it does become pretty hectic and difficult, but this is not like your MMORPG where you've got a lot of different things to take care of. Anyway, so we'll be ignoring most of this stuff. Moving along. Character sets. So a character set that we named wizards. Everything's assigned here. These are slots. These numbers right here are slots. If I click on each slot, I get a whole different set of options. Some of these are they're a little off screen because of the nature of the zoom. But, oh, nope. Can't see it. The zoom does not handle anything further right than that. All right, well, you can see this on your own. It pretty much ends right here. This last option is right here. There's nothing further right than that. And we will mess with this later. Or I can do this. Boom. You get a little bit more of that. Okay, that works. Anyway, there's a lot of options here, of course, under the slot. But again, most of them you don't touch. You're not touching these FTL modifiers. If you need a custom window title, here it is. Otherwise, Innerspace will provide its default window title. Switching, this is where the Alt-GR key came into play. This is Control, or is it Control-Alt? It's Control-Alt, isn't it? Alt-GR is Control-Alt. Whatever it is, it unbinds, if you have an Alt-GR key and you select that option in the wizard, it unbinds this Control-Alt-1, and if you click on each slot, you'll notice Control-Alt-2, Control-Alt-3, and so on. And all that is, these are keys that are assigned by default for you to swap windows more easily. But in an action MMO, action RPG, I don't know. You will be switching, but it's not exactly the same, not necessarily. Anyway, I'm going to change these to not this. I'm going to change these to my standard F keys that I use. I use F9 through F12 for action MMOs. Action RPG, I keep calling them something different. Whatever. Games like Diablo. And there's a global option here. And what that means is that if you set the global option, and this only works for keyboard keys, it does not work for special G keys or anything like that on your Logitech mouse or any other mouse. So for example, with that unselected, I can go in this list and I have just standard Windows keys in here. These are all, oh, I do have this still. Oh, no, that's right, because it's unselected. So I can use G keys. How do I better explain this? Because this is confusing. If this is selected, you can be focused on any window. So your games are up and they're running, and you bring up something. You bring up Chrome and put it in front of your game clients. You can then hit, in my case for slot 1, F9, when you're focused on Chrome, and it'll refocus slot 1 from your character set. Instead of having to minimize Chrome and then click on and get your game clients back in focus. That's what the global option does. But it restricts the keys that can be used for this global option because they need to be set as something special in the operating system. So with this set, if I go back in here, we have only Windows keys, normal letter keys and everything. You're not going to see the very bottom of the list, but you can check this out yourself. All the F keys And then right here, it stops you. You can't see the bottom, but it stops at mouse buttons, just standard mouse buttons. Right? We had just seen those G keys a moment ago. So if we unselect this and we go in here, we go back to this. I can pull this up a little bit. We go in here. We have the same keyboard keys, F keys, num keys, F keys, standard keyboard keys. And then we have all these media keys, which were not in the list before. We have a lot of media keys. A lot of media keys. Jesus Christ, dude. We have my G502 keys right here. So I can use my G502 keys now to swap, but not as a global option, right? And of course, this is another mouse I have that's not hooked up. There's a whole bunch of extra stuff in here. So if you have an input device and you want to use it to swap, to set up, like you've got a Razer Naga, it's got a bunch of buttons on the side. You want to set some of those buttons as to focus certain windows or something. You need to unselect the global option in this area in order to set those up. That's all I'm saying. Except fun fact, the Razer Naga is not supported natively by Icebox because of the way that Razer builds the mouse. Anyway, I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to change all of these to my keys real fast. Any new character sets you make, you'll have to do this. What I do recommend is that once you have a character set set up, you can either swap characters in and out of the character set, or you can just duplicate the character set, just make a copy of it, and all this information will copy. So maybe I should back up. On the wizards selection here at the top, you've got your slots, selecting the numbers, and you've got your wizards, you've got your character set name selection here at the top. You've got a bunch of general options. Leaving these all as default is totally fine. One thing, though, disable vertical sync. I like to enable vertical sync when I'm playing at 60 frames per second. I guess for Diablo Immortal, that's wrong because we're going to do something different in Diablo Immortal. Anyway, if you use vertical sync, you'll want to disable this option. It doesn't really matter for me in my setup, but if you're having problems where vertical sync is not taking place and you want it to take place, you need to uncheck this option. We can hide the frame rate indicator in the upper left. You'll see that when we launch. This is some WoW stuff. Some of this stuff is advanced and not necessary. A lot of this is just not necessary. If we remember the advanced options from the final step of the wizard, we saw the in-game Iceboxer hotkey here, the console key, and the VFX focus hotkey. All those are right here from the wizard. There's a lot of options. I understand that. It's overwhelming. Just know that some of this stuff is here. You might remember me talking about it. A lot of this we're not going to be touching. One thing that's nice, though, sometimes, maybe not in Diablo Immortal, is you might want to mute the background game audio. Whenever you're focused on a window, it'll mute the rest of the game audio in the background. But when it comes to Diablo, I think we're going to want to leave that on because I'm guessing if it's anything like Diablo 3, we're going to hear a sound when a legendary drops. If we don't notice it on the screen, we might hear a sound when good loot drops. So we're probably going to want to hear that in all of our windows. If that's not the case in Diablo Immortal, because again, I haven't played it very long, then we will have to be muting our background windows probably because it's just a lot of noise otherwise. But we'll see. If we have a white or black list here, we don't at the moment. We'll set that here. Variable keystrokes, not important for Diablo Immortal. Virtual map keys, sort of important for Diablo Immortal. Sort of important for any game. We'll come back to this in a moment, though. Now, I did say that I was setting broadcasting turning on for all of my, no, it starts on from default, right? As we launch the character set, the broadcasting feature will start on. And I said I didn't like that, and I was going to turn it off. But because it's a default option, people will generally leave that as just set as default because that's how we recommend setting things up, just as default. But at some point, people realize they might not want that option. So right here at the bottom of your character set, again, you need to be selected on the name of the character set. You click on the character set in the upper left, in the lower left, character set name, bottom option. Perform this map key when character set is loaded or reloaded. And right here, if we bring this up, it says activate repeat, right? I just want to remove this. I want to delete all these, hit OK, and now it says no key map, no map key, no target. That's fine. It's completely removed. If you do want to have anything load when you launch the character set, and it has to be the entire character set, then you will set something here. That's kind of an advanced feature. We might tap into that later when we set up a VFX layout. But that's where you change that. Now, the other thing, We're getting in way over our heads. This is supposed to be a speed run. I'm sorry, this was supposed to be a speed run. This is why we do scripted videos, by the way. This is why we do scripted videos, because live videos end up like this. So the other option here was to have the repeater, the broadcasting option, turn on in every window. And so we've got this option here. This is kind of this virtual map keys tab up here is kind of a control panel for our character set, sort of. So we can see here, activate, repeat, active method is set to activate, repeat, current window. If I want to change this, don't click the X. You click the X and you remove this out of here. Click the little left-facing arrow. And you can see that we've got activate, repeat, current window. We come in here, we can set this to all windows. Current window, all windows. Don't go to the activate maps option. We're on activate, repeat. Now that's where someone can mess things up. You'll see all windows up here, be like, oh, that's it. No, we're on the repeat option. We need to only select another repeat option. So all windows is how we would make that happen. I can show that once we get into the game and what it's like to have all windows. So I'll set this here. I'll change this. This is changed from the wizard. We'll change this here. We'll get in game. It's better demonstrated in game. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Go back to the slots. So again, most of this can be ignored. We changed our slot swap hotkeys. Good enough. When I switch to this character, we've got some options that we can execute. We'll tap into those later when we make a VFX layout. Performance. Here are the cores for your system, this big long list. Now, I will say that I think because Icebox is a 32-bit program, it only supports 32 cores. So if you've got a bigger chip, a chip that has more than 32 cores, like the 18-core, 36-thread 9980X, or maybe you've got some big, powerful AMD chip, or maybe you've got some server chip from Intel under the hood on your machine, you're only going to see a maximum of 32 cores. There's nothing to do about that. It's a 32-bit program. All it can address is 32 cores. That's it. So if you've got more than that, you can't really take advantage of that. Just know that. But here are all of our cores. What we told Iceboxer on the wizard, we told it to select all CPUs, right? So that's why all of these are highlighted. What you can do if you want to change your CPU performance is you can come in here and you can unselect certain cores. Otherwise, you can go up to the wizard's menu at the top. This probably should be down just a scotch. There. We can see the wizard's menu up here. We can also go back to the CPU strategy wizard, which we'll do in a moment. We're just outlining where all this stuff is at. We're limiting to 60-60. Remember, I said you might have want to start it with 30-30. If you want to make changes to this, you start with 30-30, say, okay, we're good. Bring it up from here. You can go to each slot. Each slot has a performance tab that you can adjust. If I change this to 30 here, for whatever reason, I go to slot 1, it's still 60-60. Each slot's settings are independent. But you can do a mass change of these settings if you go to the CPU strategy wizard, which again we'll show in a moment. Variable keystrokes, these are set by default by Iceboxer, not necessary for Diablo Immortal. And streaming integration is deprecated. It's only there for backwards compatibility with very old profiles. So that's it. And again, every single slot has these options. Just know that. Down here, we've got what's assigned by default. Now, there are a lot of things assigned here by default. We probably don't need most of these. But once we finally start making changes to this, you can click on a thing. How do I want to do this? So this is a menu. We can click on the menus node, and you can see these are all the default menus that the wizard creates. We don't need to use any of these, except for toggles. A lot of this stuff is really more based around MMOs, but because it's a wizard, it just creates a bunch of generic settings for use in all of the games that it's compatible with. A lot of these are not used by action RPGs like Diablo. But know that if you need to change something here, if you want to pull the toggles menu off, which we'll show that in a moment once we launch our team, you can click here, click off of the node, and then it disappears, right? Okay, Jesus Lord. The menus section is now empty, right? We can go back into the menus, click on formations, click off of the node, boom, now it's assigned again, right? Otherwise, and this is how all of the assignments are done in Iceboxer, is that if you're on a particular thing here in the character set, right? Character set, name of character set, scroll down. If we want to remove this, we can just select it and hit the delete key, and it goes away. Now, we don't delete it out of Iceboxer, not under the character set section. We're just unassigning it from the character set. Now that was a menu, right? So in order to reassign it, I can either click on the menus tab or menus node and do it that way, bring formations back, and there it is, right? Or I remove it again, and we can come over to the menus section here. Remember we had ISP42 formations. We just click, hold, and drag anywhere down here, let it go, and it'll pop up under the menu section. Oh, the 13900K has exactly 32 threads. Well, that's exactly why I went with the 9960X for the main machine, because that's all I was going to be able to assign. So yeah, that's why I mentioned that, because it's really good to just know that ahead of time, because people have come in with high core count chips and they're like, hey, Iceboxer's not addressing these. And it's like, well, unfortunately, it's a 32-bit program and it's just not going to be able to. And Lax has looked into updating the 32-bit program to address that. And apparently it's quite a pain in the ass to address it, or it's very hacky to address it and kind of jank and not worth it. So got to wait till the next, either you run multiple computers if you really have that much going on, or, you know, you got to wait. So anyway. Man, see, I said the Twitch one went too long and I wasn't happy with it, but here we are again. Here we are again. It's already been an hour and we haven't even launched the game yet. So anyway, that's the character set section. That's assigning things, unassigning things. The node, you can click on some things, you can unselect them. We're actually going to, I don't really know what to do here exactly, because everyone's going to want something a little bit different. Maybe we should just get in game, right? So to just quickly get this buttoned up here. Game helper section, that's for MMORPGs. Nothing's going to happen here in Diablo, any Diablo game. Nothing's going on here. Menus, we just showed that these are the default menus. We'll come back in the menus later. They're a bit complicated. If you just click on any menu, you can see that there's some template stuff here. There's a location right here. That's its starting position. And then there's a bunch of other template assignments here. Menus can be kind of daunting to work with, but we're not going to work with menus today other than the starting position. But in the next stream, we actually probably will, because I've got something that I want to set up that I've wanted to set up for a long time, and it involves menus. So yeah, but that's menus. Very quick and very brief there. We're going to come in there one more time for the remainder of the stream, but nothing else beyond there. And you won't need to do a lot of work in menus whatsoever. Key maps, this is going to be pretty much the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter, the main dish, whatever you want to call it, of Iceboxer and how things work. But because we're playing an action RPG, we're not going to be doing a whole lot in here. Not going to be doing a whole lot in here. We've got the WoW stuff is created. Someone mentioned this the other day and said that they were turned off by the default setup because it sets up WoW stuff for a game that they weren't playing WoW. And you just have to know, again, that the wizard just sets up a bunch of generic stuff, puts it all in place, and some of it just sits here completely unused. For this, we could probably just delete the WoW key map. I don't want to touch anything right now, but most of the stuff you will be able to delete. But know that if you delete any of the default stuff, like the key maps, the menus, the repeater profile, action target groups, things like that, any of the default stuff, when you rerun the wizard, it will repopulate what's missing. So if you don't mind, if you're going to be running the wizard a lot, maybe you should just leave this stuff in place. But I don't like to run the wizard a lot, so I will eventually be showing, probably not in this video, I'll eventually be showing how to just copy character sets and work with things from there, so you don't have to keep running the wizard. Because the wizard is several steps that are mostly unnecessary once you have everything set up how you like it to begin with. So anyway, these are key maps. Inside of here, if you click on any of them in the lower left, you see your mapped keys. These are hard to explain exactly what they're going to be used for here in Diablo Immortal. Again, not much. And we'll be turning off key maps once we get in game so that we can just use the mouse and the keyboard freely in free broadcast mode. So just know that these are key maps up here in the upper left, and in the lower left, when you click on one, these are the map keys. You can see some of the toggle stuff that we looked at before, the activate maps all windows, the activate repeat. That's where this stuff is stored. It's all stored in key maps and map keys because that is the meat and potatoes of Iceboxer. So we don't need to make any changes to this right at this moment. We'll move on. Variable keystrokes, nothing. We're probably not going to be doing anything with variable keystrokes in Diablo Immortal. Very simple game. Window layout. So here we go. This is the window layout we set up. when you first click on your window layout, this is just what it's called. It's just when you create it through the wizard, it's just called whatever your character set is called. So I'm going to rename it to window layout, if I can see that, and put we'll put wizards here. So these are the basic general options. If you're not using a video effects layout, oh God, this is confusing. In the wizard, I pointed out there was a video effects layout option. The wizard sets up a very basic video effects layout. It's very basic and fairly restricted. You can set one up manually, and we are going to set one up manually. But if you're using the wizard one, this will be selected. Other than that, you're not touching this. If someone says you need to use a VFX layout, don't come in here and just check this box on any old window layout. It's not going to do anything. Just know that this option is here, and you shouldn't touch it unless the wizard turns it on. Maybe this should be restricted otherwise. Maybe. Because sometimes people do just toggle this on or off. You shouldn't. If it's set on, the wizard set it on. If it's not on, the wizard didn't turn it on. You should probably not touch it. I would not recommend touching this option, and I would recommend setting up a video effects layout from scratch, as I will show. There's also a video on this channel that talks about that as well. Very popular video. Lots of people have set up video effects layouts because they're pretty important. So anyway, swap hot character to main region. Always for game windows, you've got a few options here. If you want to, this is ultimately going to depend on your window layout and your taste on how you want to swap windows. But we can go over these maybe a little bit. It's going to help to have the windows on the screen, I think. I'm not sure I can change these on the fly without restarting the character set. So if I can't, we'll just talk about these because I don't want to have to keep restarting the character set, because when you do that, you have to launch the launcher every single time for every single window. Anyway, the default option is always for game windows. Use instant window swapping. We're going to want this on. This is going to sync our resolutions up. So when we look at our regions real fast, we can see that we've got one big region and four small regions, right? So a lot of people look at that as in these smaller regions should take up less resources because they're smaller, right? They're running at a smaller resolution or some thinking along those lines. That's not how it works. In order for us to broadcast the mouse nicely from corner to corner of all of these windows, right? If you put this over here on top of here, if we broadcast the corner to corner, there is no corner over here, right? It doesn't match up. It just doesn't match up. So how does the magic work here? Well, it works because these windows are still rendering at this size because we're using instant window swapping, which says synchronize game resolutions. Now, there's an additional step to this as well, though, within our regions editor, but which we'll get to in a moment. Some other stuff down here. These are not going to all be accessible all the time, but you can activate current window hotkey, so you can be mousing over a window and click this, and it should activate that. Otherwise, that's going to be for a only when I press the slot activate hotkey. So you can set this, and then you can set this. It's a combination of things down here. I don't use this a lot. I don't use a lot of these settings. I usually just play with always for game windows because that's how I roll. Maybe I'm old school. The kids these days, they want other settings. They want fancier stuff. Some of this stuff will give them what they want for the most part. I just click to swap or I hit a hotkey to swap windows, and you'll see them move around in my window layout when we're playing. That's it. This can get a little confusing. If you do have specific needs, though, ask in the Icebox Discord, and one of these might actually be the answer for what you want. Focus follows mouse down here. Window switcher key as well if you want to set if you set a modifier. I think you can hold this modifier, and then you can use the mouse wheel to flip between your game windows. I think that's how this works. I think, maybe not. Oh, set it here though, right there. I think you're going to set it there. So as long as you're holding that key, and you can use the mouse wheel to then spin and switch between your windows. Again, it's probably not something you're using for Diablo, but maybe you are. Maybe you are. When clicking to focus a window, do what it normally does. Sometimes you'll want a different option here. These are all options you can play with, and some of these options don't do anything unless you restart the character set and relaunch the game window. So just, don't come in here with everything running. Most of the things you can have the game clients running, export from Icebox while it's all running, and everything will work fine. But some options, especially ones that deal with the window layout, they don't always work as nicely without a relaunch of the game client. So Just know that that's there. Focus follows mouse is inactive because of this option here. We would need to set one of these only when I do something, and then this becomes available. So if you're looking for that mouse over feature that activates the windows as you mouse over them, you'll need to select something other than always for game windows. So there's all that. So another thing that people talk about that I didn't mention in the wizard is that you can't drag the regions around in the window layout portion of the wizard, right? You can't drag the regions around. You didn't see me try, but you can't. And people try that and they come in and they say, we tell them to go into the region editor and make changes. And they're like, I'm trying, but it's not dragging anywhere. It's because you're not in the region editor. You're actually in the wizard. So if we go back in the wizard real fast, we can go to window layout wizard specifically, set this up, come to here. We can set anything and you can see that I can't drag this window anywhere. They just don't go anywhere, right? So that's because you're not in the region. You need to be in the region editor itself to drag these windows around. Again, if you had multiple monitors and you wanted to just shuffle your windows around, this is where you would do that very easily. You could just drag your windows wherever you want. If you're going to resize these windows, listen up. If you're going to resize these windows, you need to ensure that you are maintaining the aspect ratio between them all. If I come in and I do this, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to work out great. If I've got two windows and one of them's this big and the other one's this size, do we see how these shapes don't match up at all? That's a problem. That's usually a problem. You can get away with this if you decouple the synchronization of resolutions, but then don't expect your cursor to match up when you broadcast it, right? Everyone has different needs for what they play. I'm addressing some things that aren't Diablo Immortal related, right? But if you're going to resize these, make sure you're using maybe some sort of aspect ratio calculator, which we might be using in a moment here, because I need to calculate a special layout, or be able to do the math on the fly in your head, or rely on the wizard to do the math for you. Because the wizard, as you remember, that wizard option of maintain aspect ratio, which is, if I can find the divider, right there, maintain aspect ratio, right? Now we set it to true. So the wizard will always do its absolute best to maintain the aspect ratio as close as it can. So that's why I have that set. And that's what this layout is. These little windows are the same width and height as the big one. If I've not messed this up. Let's hope I didn't. 1280 by 700. Okay. So there's that. If you need to drag them for the 7th time, if you need to drag them, come into the region editor and move them around. There's some options over here. What we're going to change, we're going to make a change right now. God, I'm not sure I want to make this change because I need to make a different window layout for this stream layout that I've got going on. So I think we're going to get another spin cycle. We did have a second half load of laundry that needed to go in to the washer. Perfect timing. We're multitasking, man. This is how my life is every day. This does get complicated here. If you're going to try to set up your own window layout, I really recommend against that. As advanced of a user as I am, I don't set up my own window layouts. I would always recommend using the window layout wizard, and you can just use it standalone, right? Just under the wizard's menu. Otherwise, you can also right click on your character set itself and you'll have window layout wizard also available and it'll auto select, right? So there's a little pro tip here. If you go to wizards and you go to window layout wizard at the top, you have to select which character set. Now we only have one, and then we hit next, and then here it is, right? Here's this screen. But if we right click on the character set itself and go to window layout wizard, it auto selects, it knows who you want to build the window layout for, and it just brings this up, right? So you could always make your foundation with this, lay your foundation with this, and then go into your window layout in the region editor down here and make your changes then from that point forward. So I'm not really sure that this is going to come into play right now. We've got some other options here. I am going to change the always on top option. It says on if a game window is in foreground. It's kind of cut off. It's kind of cut off right above me. But it says if a game window is in foreground. I guess I can pull this over a little bit more. There. It's a very long sentence. If a game window is in foreground. You've got some options here. You've got off, always on, and only if a game window is in foreground. Now, sometimes I find that this behavior for only if a game window is in foreground, that it's a little finicky. And sometimes some windows do get stuck on top of other windows. Like I had said earlier, maybe you're looking at a browser or something. You bring up your browser and 2 out of the 5 game windows will sit on top. And you're like, what's going on here? Come on, what are you doing? So sometimes some things will get caught on top still. So I like to turn this option off. And the easy way to do this, one of the things that really makes Iceboxer easier to work with, and this is an obvious statement, but I have to say it, is that because there's so many options, it helps to learn how best to utilize certain fields in Iceboxer and how they work with clicks and the mouse wheel. So you can triple click to when you click once to focus, and then you can double click. And I'm changing this, and I'm not supposed to be changing this. Oh boy, what did I just do? Okay, sorry. I wanted to be down here, always on top. So you click once to focus, and then you can double click and go through the options. You see how we're cycling through the options on a double click, right? So if I click in here, these are my regions. I want to change this on all of my regions. So instead of clicking here, 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 because that's a lot of clicks and a lot of mouse movement, I click, mouse wheel down to select region 3, and I triple click right here. I go to off. Click, mouse wheel down, triple click. Click, mouse wheel down, triple click, right? So there's a lot of these little shortcuts I think that you will learn as you use Iceboxer a lot that make it more palatable. Because again, there are a ton of options, and you find yourself clicking and typing in commas and typing in X's and typing in just a bunch of stuff. And probably a handful of that stuff can really be minimized when it comes to workload. But you don't realize that I don't have like a catalog or an encyclopedia or anything that talks about that. And there's nothing in the wiki specifically that will tell you what options are easy to work with like that. But these are the little things you learn, and you'll want to learn to use Control-C and Control-V for copy and paste to copy things pretty quickly. And we'll be using that a little bit as well when we start making some key maps and map keys. So that helps a lot rather than create everything from scratch, one action at a time. That's kind of a pain in the ass. So you've got your slot options here, or your region options here. Again, these are your sizes. You can click on any region. You can see the size. There's its location. 0, 700. 0 is going to be up against the up against the left. 700 is going to be from the top. It's going to be X and Y. If you've got multiple monitors, if I had a monitor, if this is my primary monitor, and I had a monitor in this layout section to the left, it's going to be negative numbers to the left of your primary. It's going to be positive to the right, negative below, positive up. Think of like a graph, right? A graph with the X and Y axis. Upper right quadrant is all positives. Bottom right quadrant, bottom left quadrant, upper left quadrant. It's a little math right there. You know, I don't know. Some people don't know what's going on. There's actually a video on this channel that talks about, what is it called? Just wanted to stop by and say thanks. All right, Josie. You bet, you bet. Oh, one thing, I think I said this at the very beginning. I'm sorry to make this cut here, but I don't get emails for the messages, apparently. I thought I got emails. And after I put up that video, the vlog video, the one previous to this, or the one previous to this live stream, I didn't realize that a ton of people have already commented. So that felt really good. I didn't realize that that was going on. So I apologize to anyone who commented. I got to go through the comments. I just realized that as I was firing up the stream, I'm like, oh, there were a whole bunch of people that commented and left messages. And that's my bad. I thought I was going to get emails for those. I didn't get a single email, like notification that those were being posted. So I don't know. Maybe I should just pay attention to YouTube a little bit more. So that was really cool. But yeah, you bet. I was going to try to find what that video was called. This is the problem with non-scripted videos. Videos. I think it's called monitor layouts. Wow, we got some good videos on this channel. Yeah, it's called Monitor Layouts, creating monitor layouts. That's an old video. Wow, that's from 6 years ago. It's probably very cringy, but talks about monitor layouts and how to look at the coordinates of your monitors when you're positioning things and changing things around. So not super important to Diablo Immortal, but I'm trying to give these tidbits of information here and there, which is what draws these videos out immensely. This is not going to be in a scripted tutorial, right? But anyway, you got your location, you got your size, if you need to resize anything manually, and we may in the future here when we create a video effects layout. Disable swapping, this, I actually don't know what this setting does. If you want to disable swapping, your swapping options, once again, are in the general settings of your window layout right here. Swap character to main region, you would set this to never if you want to disable swapping. Never, right? That's what you would set there. Otherwise, I don't really know what this option does. It says it disables swapping for the slot assigned to this region. I don't know. Then we have a swap group. We're not going to mess with swap groups right now, but we will with the video effects layout. Moving on, slot assignment. Again, this is stuff that you probably don't want to toy with too much. If you have a reason to be in here, then you have a reason to be in here. Otherwise, you don't need to be in here. It's like looking under the hood of your car and you're like, I just want to look around. Look around, but if you start like taking nuts and bolts, and pulling hoses off of your motor, and then you go to like start your car or launch your character set and export from Iceboxer, and like new errors pop up, you're like, what happened? Well, you might have been touching something you shouldn't have been touching. So if you're not familiar with all these assignments and what they do, then you don't need to touch them. These are not things that you're normally going to need to be configuring. Swap groups tab at the top here as well. This ties in with this right here, the swap group. Now this is actually a field that you can't double click in, because if you double click, it yells at you. You can't double click in here, and I'm not happy about that. So don't double click. This is the one that you are going to have to click the drop down for if you want to change swap groups. Again, we're not changing swap groups right now, but swap group control is over here. In addition to the active and the reset region, they're both set to 1. Now, in addition to this instant window swapping synchronizes game resolutions, it ties in with the swap groups tab, and it ties in with the it ties in with the reset region, which is what dictates what everything should render at resolution-wise. So this right here says all windows in the swap group will use this selected region. Okay, I can't even read the whole thing. Typically will force the game to render at the size of the reset region. That's what the little thing down here says. I guess I can change that. So again, the reset region dictates what everything is going to render at in that swap group. So if we come back to regions, we can click on this. We're going to see that every single window, even though these guys are small, they're all going to render at the size of region 1, which is 2560 by 1400. Every single one of these. 2560 by 1400. We'll see that resolution selected in the game client as well whenever we launch them in 2 hours when I'm done explaining all these settings. Sorry, the chat is down. I've got multiple things going on over here. Swapping disabled is mostly for layouts where all the windows are stacked. Is that true? I actually don't know what a VFX layout uses for that option. I don't know if that's... Some people just have a reason to just have like a static layout for some reason. I was in the slot swap groups earlier today. Started with the second swap group for characters 11 through 20. Yeah, you gotta. It helps with big character sets to have, when you've got a fancy window layout. It really helps to understand what swap groups are doing and how to utilize them. Super helpful, and I've used them time and time again, and we'll use them today. What time is it? 5 o'clock. Okay. Oh, was that was the final spin cycle? I think. I think it was. Okay, I got to put that stuff in with the dryer now. So I'll be back another 2 minutes. 2 minutes, folks. I need a drink too. Okay, that might have been less than 2 minutes. I didn't have to do too much. Yeah, I'm not sure if the stacked option, because they have to swap. They have to swap on top of each other. I don't know if that's considered swapping. You've got me stumped at the moment, but we'll see. We'll see when we set one up. Yeah, so that's window layout stuff. Again, the main takeaway here, really, the main takeaway is region editor. You can move your windows around. General options, swapping behavior, right there. And that's pretty much it. We spent 30 minutes on that, though. Repeater profile. I wouldn't touch this. If you want to have some startup defaults, they're here. We don't recommend doing that, though. We recommend handling that on the character set, as I showed earlier, about taking that option off or putting it back on. And I'll go over that again in a moment. If you do have multiple computers set up, you're going to want, where is it? It's right here. Allow active window cursor to move via broadcast. This multi-PC option down here, you'll want to check that. But I don't have multi-PC set up, so there's that. And if for some reason, this is all going to be created by default, but if for some reason you're not seeing a fake cursor when you turn on repeater, there's this option here that is the fake cursor. I don't know why sometimes certain games don't render the fake cursor properly, though, so there is that. And that is unrelated to this option. That's just related to the game itself. And sometimes certain games need special fixes. So repeater profile, you don't need to do anything in there. Click bars. We won't be doing anything with click bars today. But they are here. They're like they do some things different than menus do. And menus do something different than click bars do. And we'll probably play with just menus moving forward, but click bars are there as well. Click bars I use in MMORPGs, whereas menus, they each serve their own purpose, but at the end of the day, they're pretty much just overlays to create buttons or images on your screen. So that's ultimately what that's there for. Action target groups, these are probably not necessary to do. These default ones are probably completely unnecessary for Diablo Immortal. We will be making an action target group, though, in a little bit when we create our... Is that correct? I don't know if we'll be making an ATG. It's been a long time since I've set some of this stuff up, so I'm rusty. Action timer groups, it's for setting timers up, but timers only work on certain things. So you can't create loops. You can't create auto fire for sending keys to the game. It doesn't work for actions like that. It only works for things like taking screenshots. All non-in-game action related stuff can use timers. Anything that relates to in-game actions, you cannot set a timer for. And that's by design. Virtual files, again, if you did anything to your virtual files, you can come down here and click on them. You can see what they're named if you need to find them, the battle.net config, but it's going to have your specific character name that you put in during the wizard here as well. Again, they need to be split up. Same thing with this registry key. If you click on here, it'll show you the full registry key and where all of this is stored. And that's it. All of these are created in the registry or right next to all the virtual files, whether it's a registry key or a file on your disk. They're created right next to the original registry key or files on your disk. So if you're looking for these virtual files, you look for the battle.net config file and you'll find the rest of these there. So there's that. I think that's everything, though. Like I said, instead of using the repeater profile, I had shown that there's these startup defaults. Instead of using that, some people also like to set a white and black list here. Again, we don't really recommend people do this. This is a very archaic way of working with these things, but I can't stop you from doing anything in this. So if you wish to use this as a white and black list, this is a global white and black list for whichever characters are assigned to this repeater profile. Again, it's set to no white or black list by default. It says recommended. I've never done anything here for over 10 years. So it's been a long time, but that's how we used to do things way back in the day, but not anymore. It's been a long time again. But instead of using these, you can come back into here That's not it. Come back into your character set. And again, at the bottom, we covered this just a moment ago, but I'm going to reset this, right? So target is going to be window current. For now, you just have to trust me that that's window current. Or you could, I guess you could set a specific character, but we'll just set window current. Key map is going to be toggles. And we're going to set this to activate repeat either, activate repeat either current window or all windows. And that's going to turn on repeater from the get-go. Those will be your startup defaults, right? If you want to start repeater on, this is how you would do this. But again, if you didn't want this, you would come in here. Well, you set it and you would see it there. And then delete, delete, delete. Hit OK, clear it out. Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out in a moment. You may be absolutely correct. But with that, after it's been an hour plus and you've looked through your profile and you want to get into the game, we're going to do this, but then I have to fix my window layout. I don't know if I should fix it now or later. People are not going to understand why I need to fix it now, but we'll export. So you can go to File and go to Export Alt to Interspace. Control E is also the shortcut is shown right here. So I'll do this. Everything's okay. If there are any, calm down, laundry. If there are any problems, they will pop up and say, hey, there are problems. Every error needs to be addressed specifically. So if you've got problems exporting, just come to the Discord and ask a question and let us know what you've got as a problem, right? Otherwise, I like to just use, what you're going to see me use is just Control E. That's what I like to use all the time. So Control E will also export like that. So let's get out of this zoom mode. That's not the zoom mode. This is the zoom mode. And now, do I have this on here? There it is. There's my login sensor, so people can't steal my login information. We're going to right-click. You're going to have to see this. I'm going to hide my camera. We're going to right-click. And if you've exported properly or correctly, and if everything exported properly, you'll come to the Icebox or Character Sets menu, a little flyout menu. If you've got a long name, it'll appear on the other side. But we've just got Wizards. It's nice and short. It's kind of getting cut off on the window. Maybe I go to here. And then, no, I can't do that because we don't have the sensor over here. Are both of these turned on? I'm so sorry. There we go. There's probably kind of an echo there. Anyway, coming back into here. So we'll just right click on this and we'll go through the motions and we'll turn the camera back on if I can find it. So again, we'll see so when you launch games that require a launcher, and Diablo Immortal requires a launcher, you have to launch the launcher, log in. I've already logged in. These are the same accounts I've been using. So I skip having to type my information in, right? You're gonna have to type your information in. If you need to enter an authenticator, enter your authenticator info, and then you'll just click, as you can see my cursor over here, down on the play button. We'll hit play, and I'll show this on the next one. My Battle.net launcher is going to close automatically. There's an option in the launcher itself where you can close after launching a game. You should probably set that up. And I might want to turn this down. Let me know if the Diablo Immortal music is too loud, because it's a very loud game and I don't know if I've turned it down enough. If it's overpowering my voice. I don't really know if it's too loud. We'll find out soon enough. Overwatch Season 2, cool. So anyway, let me turn off this login sensor real fast. Let me turn on the zoom. God, if I only had buttons for these things. Okay. Right, so you can kind of see my cursor in the upper left in the zoom here. You're just going to go to the Battle.net menu and go to wherever it is, settings near the top. You're going to see this. We're going to be able to see the settings here, though. Right? So here are the settings, and you're just going to go to right here, on game launch, exit Battle.net completely. That's it, right? Just exit Battle.net completely. If for some reason you want to keep Battle.net open, you can't. Don't keep Battle.net open. You need to exit out of the launcher completely before the next slot launches. So that's why I have this set. I don't have it set on my main launcher that I use when I game normally solo. But again, when we use virtual files, this particular configuration file that has this stored is saved separately away from your main Battle.net config that you would use when you play solo. So just set that to that. Or again, you can just do it manually, but just make sure that you're closing out of this every single time. So you'd hit play, and then you'd come up here and you hit the X. But again, I don't have to hit the X, hands off. It just closes itself, right? So this is going to bounce around a little bit as we fill in the holes. But, and we just wait. This is the process we have to go through every single time. I did forget that I had reshade enabled right now. So these windows might look a little bright compared to what you're used to if you play Diablo Immortal. Okay, let me get to this. Yep, okay. And then we'll just hit play again. I prefer to not use launchers on games if I don't have to. Like World of Warcraft doesn't require a launcher. I like to just load up to the login screen, type in my information, and log in, right? Because launchers, they're kind of inconvenient when you need to launch a lot of windows like this. When you need to launch more than one window, they're kind of inconvenient, right? So we'll just let all this fill in. One more game client. And again, I'm not doing anything. All Interspace does is just essentially double clicking on the launcher, opening it up. You're logging in, it's saving that to the disk, and it's going to use it next time. And so we can finally just turn this off. Just hit play. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. This game is an overpowering. That's probably fine. Okay. So when you click on a game, it is going to log you in because it says tap to play, right? So I'm going to just cycle through my game windows with my F keys as I had set up before, right? F9 through F12. That's what I set up. If you set up something different, that's what you would press. I don't know why my formation menu was on. That's weird. What happened to my... Did I turn on the wrong menu like a dummy? So this is perfect. Did I do this incorrectly? I did. So, yeah. I was wondering where my formations menu was on. Let's get back to the zoom here. So I was showing this earlier by clicking on the node. I'm glad I made this mistake. It's kind of helpful. So you click on the node, right, for the menu, and I've got a formation menu on. You can barely see it. It's very tiny. But I enabled formations. This is obviously a mistake. I meant to re-enable toggles, not formations. So you'll see formations there. We've unselected it, selected toggles. We click off of it, click anywhere else, and then we see toggles pop up. So that's what I want. So I made that change. Now I'm going to Control E, export. It's just going to refresh the game clients. And now we can see in the upper left of the window, I'm actually on the wrong window. There. In the upper left of the window, oh, interesting. Okay. There's a little menu there. Now you cannot really see it, but you'll see it when you play. It's going to be, that's right. This is where videos come in so much more handy. We made a change. So we started with, fucking shit. Do we have to redo this on Monday? We're going to redo this on Monday. So in the final step of the wizard, we said that we wanted all of the game clients to start. We wanted broadcasting to start on, right? And I showed how to make that change and turn that off in the character set. But we need to flip something around in Iceboxer. So we're not done. So is this here? Yeah. Wow, that's okay. This should be up more. There we go. Because everything's cut off. So anyway, this option that was down here turned on broadcasting when we launched the character set, but it also flips the steps around on the mapped key itself. So to finish this fix, this is why I hate these videos that are live like this, because it's like we did this how long ago? And if someone's just watching this video, they're like, oh, I got the fix. Cool. And then guess what, kid? 45 minutes later, I actually finish it. I feel so bad about this. Oh my God, dude. We come into the toggles key map. And we come into the activate repeat steps here. Let me just look at this. Did I mess this up somehow? Why is that starting? See, now I'm confused. Maybe I am right. So, let me just try this real fast. I'll be honest. Oh. Is there something in the menu as well? This is why I don't touch these settings. It's been a long time. Where would that be? Not formations, dude. Not again. I actually don't know. I don't know the answer to this. Because it's an option I rarely touch. Yeah, I'm stumped. I thought we had these. Which one do we have set? Do we have all windows? Oh, we have all windows set. We did make that change. So come in here. Shift these around. Does that work? Hold on. What was that set to? What's the default there? Yeah. No, the repeater profile is not adjusted. I don't know. It's my menu button that's not. Where am I at here? I'm right here. I'm so confused. I don't know why. I don't know why my menu button's messed up. It doesn't start. It doesn't start in the proper state. The button still works just fine, but it doesn't start in the proper state. I guess it's not really important. I guess we can come back to that later. Well, this is where I would just redo the video, like a tutorial video. This is terrible. This is terrible. This is the stuff that I hate. I really need some notes. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll turn on broadcasting with Shift Alt R or Shift Alt R. We can still press the keys, or I can press my mouse button, right? I can press my mouse button. You can see the cursor in all the windows. We want to get off this title screen as soon as we can because it's loud. So I'm not on Primevals anymore. We've changed over to the. Wait, no, we are on Primevals. I'm sorry. We were on the Fallen before, but now I'm on Primevals, and you can see we've got a few people who play on Primevals as well. So we were already there. We'll just click. No. Why won't this? That was some lag. What was going on there? Anyway. No, what is going on here? What is happening? What did I do? Everyone works fine other than her. What is wrong with you? Wow, dude. I don't know. Let's relaunch the character set. And you can do that when you're running. You can just relaunch the character set to try to clear out any issues. Now, The mouse is just sticking in this window. What have I done? I'm trying to get out. She won't unstick. Escape? No. What is happening, dude? I'm trying to think of anything I could be doing to this. It's all the main window. Whichever window's focus doesn't work. What did I do? Ah. Dude, I go to bed in 2 hours. I'm so tired. What did I do to this thing? Do we need to redo this on Monday? Was this the dry run that failed? This is what happens. People talk about how my videos are too long. Like, man, your videos are so long, man. This is what this is, though. But this is like the raw deal, right? This is where people would be working through things like this. I honestly... I don't know. Let me change something real fast in this profile. I'm going to change this back to current window. I can... What is it? Dude. I honestly have no idea. I've played this game a little bit to do a lot of testing with it. Only in the starter areas, but I've never encountered anything like this before. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, that's my reshade setting, but... This might just end the stream because I don't know what the hell's going on. Every once in a while they'll accept some mouse input, but then they won't. I literally just tested this earlier today as well. What did I do? What did I break? I have no idea. I mean, there's nothing that this even changes. I wonder if it's something to do with my I restarted the machine. I wonder if it's the Logitech software. I mean, it updated after I restarted the machine, so I mean, there's nothing. I have no special settings or anything set in here. Oh. She's frozen now. Is that Logitech who's breaking my stuff now? She's done. She's broken. We're going to go disable reshade as well. Let's get out of the game. Damn it. That's so funny that the repeated cursor is working, but the main window's not? I almost wonder if it has to do with any other software I'm running, like the spot on the mouse software. I don't think so. I used this before. I'm waiting for this, unless they're both frozen. Yeah, she's done for. We'll just kill these off. Let me just end task. So weird. I wonder if that update had something to do with it. Let me kill spot on the mouse real fast. Let's just load one slot. Hold on. This is what sucks, is when you use a launcher. It shows your login information. Hello? Okay. That's kind of what I'm doing. I don't really know what would have triggered it to begin with. The first click didn't work. No. I wonder if it's reshade? That's so weird, dude. I have no idea what's happening here. We're just going to close the window. So let me go in and turn off reshade. It's there to just enhance the look of the game. I don't know if this is what's causing it, but I mean, it's the first thing to try. Other than that. Jesus. No. This is what happens. This is why we do scripted videos. Because when you run into a problem like this, it's like, oh, we just got to wait for a fix or something. Because live troubleshooting is never exciting. I'm gonna say that it's reshade. Wow. Everything's fine now. All right, kids. Let me go over here real fast. Okay, well, let's launch the game clients proper now. We launched this one. This one can stay. We can just launch the character set itself, and it'll just fill things in. So the first one will refresh. It'll do its thing, and then the other stuff will come up. So it was reshade that was causing the problem. I guess I didn't test very long with reshade, but then again, the mouse software did just update as well. Could have been that in addition to reshade. I don't know. I wanted to make the game look a little bit better because it's really dim. It's really dim and kind of drab. And I wanted to spice it up. I use reshade anywhere I can. So while we wait for this to launch again. Next one. So the main reason to show this is because, as you're probably seeing along the bottom, we're not seeing the taskbar. Once we get in game, I can switch scenes in OBS. And one more. That is absolutely wild. Okay. Whoops. Now that clicks are properly working again. There we go. Fantastic. I've still got the sensor up. So there you go. But you're noticing that you can see there's a big old enter world button here. I'm kind of cutting some of it off with my camera, but also up above me, you can see it's missing over there as well. And that's because this was the normal setup that I was going to use But this Windows taskbar at the bottom, in my opinion, is such a distraction down here because it's blue and it's such a distraction that I was like, okay, let me just cut out the taskbar, but then it creates a big black void down there, right? There's a big black hole, and I was like, all right, let me scale up the scene in OBS. And so what you get is this, and then what you get is the stuff on the right cut off. So it's a little annoying. We don't technically have to fix that right now, but I don't really know how much more we can fit into the stream at this point. We've been going for 2 hours almost. That was ultimately where I wanted to take this to, was the 2-hour mark. And I don't really know if anyone got anything out of this because we've been rambling a lot. But, I mean, on the agenda, on the schedule for this is we're going to set up a VFX layout. And we're going to set up some hold the control mapped keys with a menu feedback system. I don't know what to call it, but it's going to have a little visual feedback, and that's for mostly because I just like to design shit like this, but it's also for people who are watching so they can see like which window I'm playing from, who I'm broadcasting to, things of that nature. And so I want to set that up. It's something I've never set up, but I've wanted to set up actually for years at this point. I've wanted to set up something fancy like that, and I never really got a chance to. And someone has recently asked about that on where were they at? There was in the Discord. Someone was asking about that. They said they had watched one of my videos and they wanted more information on one of the ways to set something up, and I think that was related to that video. I'm going off on a tangent that no one's going to know about it other than myself and that person, but regardless, that's the other thing we're going to set up. What I wanted to do today is get through this intro section. So what I can kind of do here is I can kind of cheat, and I can copy my window layout from here, from my, let me see here. I can copy my window layout from my already configured profile that I've been playing and testing with. I can copy that and copy it over because it's got the resize template right here. As you can see, we cut off the bottom and we cut off the right as well so that it fits nicely in my OBS layout. And let me turn this program back on. So now we have this again. Okay. I don't know why left and right clicks are not coming through though. That's kind of bothering me. Why is that? Dude, I set this up the other day to work like this. Click indicator. Oh, there, it works. Oh, it's a fucking, I know what the problem is. Dude, it's all coming back to me now. We got to run the program as admin, and now we have clicks. I was noticing that earlier. I was like, I'm not getting clicks, but I just didn't want to stop the stream. Okay, now we have clicks. Left click, right click, middle click, up wheel, down wheel. We got all the stuff when I'm using my mouse. Also, when I'm holding down modifier keys will pop up now, just like that. Control. Oh, oops, I don't want to do anything. Learned something new about the window layouts. Fantastic. There's a lot of information there, and again, a lot of that information is very overwhelming to anyone who's new to this. God, this is the problem with like making videos as well. It's like when I write scripts for the videos, I refine the absolute shit out of them, and but I mean, it takes forever. Like it's this refinement process, like just stage after stage after stage of trying to get down to the most compressed and efficient video to not waste people's time. Because we've been here for 2 hours and we just launched the game clients, right? So that's like a huge waste of time. No one's going to watch this unless you're just watching this live, something in the background. You want to listen to Mirai talk about nonsense. You're more than welcome to hang out. But it's probably not really much of an instructional video because there's always a lot about Icebox. I'm always trying to answer people's questions before they have them, and that really leads me down other tangents as well. Because there's just so many options, you got to pick and choose which ones you talk about. So, I don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this, we're going to Control-C this, and we're going to paste this over here. You can right click and paste, or when you're on a node. So I have a window layout on my clipboard. If I go over to click bars and I hit Control V, it ain't gonna work, right? I can right click here and there's no paste option, right? When I right click on window layouts, there's a paste option because Icebox recognizes what's on my clipboard. It's like, hey, this belongs here. You can put this here. So I'll paste this in, or you can hit, again, you can just select the node itself, hit Control V, it'll refresh this tree, and then what will be here is the template resized, right? And again, this is simply for fitting this on my screen while also cutting off the bottom. I'm going to do this now so we can kind of just get this done and over with. We'll get in game. We'll fight the first boss. We'll go over first a few of the basic mechanics so that people can get started if they're watching this. Apologies to anyone who's learning here. But we'll get in game. We'll do that. And so I'm just going to... And then what did I say earlier about the character sets thing? So about assigning things. So when you click on certain nodes, menus, again for menus, and key maps for key maps. But when you click on window layouts, you don't get the same selection here, right? So this is where... Sorry, I can move this over. This is where you would have your character set selected. The reason I click off of it is because if I'm down here and you click up here again, it wants to rename it because it's technically already selected. So select your window, select your character set, and then on your window layout, as long as this is already open, right? It's got to be open. Window layout's exposed. Click and hold, drag and drop anywhere in the lower left with that character set still selected, release, and now you can see down here our window layout is now Wizard's template resized. Now, I don't know if this is going to take nicely because, as I said before, things that mess with the window layout, when you export, sometimes you need to relaunch the game clients. I hope that this is not the case in this. We're just going to get out of the zoom. We're going to Control E. They look to resize properly. The other thing you can do on top of that is also relaunch the character set just to make sure. It's just going to refresh the windows. If there's any rendering issues, it should clear that up. Every game's going to treat this differently. Some games are really nice when it comes to messing with the size of the window on the fly. Other games are not. Right? So this looks like it works very well, and you can see that I fit very nicely in the hole as well. That's the whole point of the way that this OBS scene was made, so that I fit nicely in the hole. Get your mind out of the gutter. So anyway, we'll jump into our wizards. Again, we have technically a bunch of characters to play. Did one of these already get renamed? What's this 1-1? Did I get renamed? What? Do I need to log my characters in? Hold on. Let me log my characters in to make sure that they don't get renamed. What's up with the Necro 1? Someone took my Necro 1? These guys are all at the starting point. So we'll just... Can I log out? How do I log out? Is this it? I don't want to exit the game. No. How do I leave? Leave game. Okay, so there's Barb 1. We'll put the hunters in. People are scrambling now to take my unique names. I can't believe it. How ridiculous. All right, get them logged in. Here, leave game. We'll look at this on the wizards. And yes, I do understand that when I sit forward like this, my head is cut off. So someone took my name, you son of a bitch. It's going to let me log in with a -1? I can't access my character sheet right now, can I? It's too early. I think so. I don't think I can see my actual character. Oh, you probably could if you turned it on in game. Nope, there it is. Display my name. So let me just see this real fast. Turn that on. Necro 1-1? What is that nonsense? Who takes Necro 1? And not Necro 2? Who does that? Alright, so. Anyway, maybe we'll come up with different necro names because that's kind of dumb. Back to the wizards. So yeah, broadcasting's on. We're going to turn key maps off so that we can type with the keys and things of that nature. The philosophy is if they're in a hurry, they can just read the description of the text tutorial. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So as you just saw me doing, you just click on your character. You would go through the character creation process. I think, oh no, we can still... A lot going on right there. So yeah, you would just select your class. So it'd be wizards for everybody. Select your... what do you want to play? Next, go through the character creation process, yada, yada, yada. You've done all that, name your characters, and then jump in. Now, I already have some keybinds set as well, because again, I've already been in here for a little bit. Oh, I'm already messed up. Wow, I am definitely messed up already. So that's one thing you're going to be doing. Whenever you're out of sync, right away, you're going to be trying to find corners to run into. This is all explained in the Diablo setup video as well, which again is why we just point people to that. The Diablo 3 setup video I'm talking about specifically. So mouse to move around. And the default bindings, I'm not sure if they're shift, but I think they might have the same... I think they might have the same default bindings now as Diablo 3 did. So shift is to stop in place, force stop, if you will. And then the spacebar is also force move. Although I have found that sometimes the spacebar fails to force move you if you do things a little too quickly. So I can't replicate that here, but you can get caught on things with force move still. So anyway, come in here, settings. You can go through this yourself. The master volume is way too high. That is why this is so goddamn loud. Wow. Yeah, that needs to be down to 50%. The music's already down to 50. We'll cut that in half down to 25 then. Okay, so everything's fine here. I was told auto pickup, I should have all of these selected, so they are all selected. They might be all selected by default. Auto navigation, I've not done much in this game again, so I don't know if that's going to be something we want to keep on. It sounds like a mobile game feature, so whatever, I guess. Controls, if you want to display your name. I like less clutter on my screen. Then again, I say that, and I might very well turn my names back on at some point, because if I find myself in a hectic situation and I see that Wizard 3 is desynced from everyone else and I need to go get her, then I know in my head that that's slot 3 of my character set. And I know exactly which window to swap to at that point, right? If none of their names are on, then I don't really know who it is exactly. I can look at the windows really quickly to see who's desynced, and that's usually how I would do things. But if it happens too often, I might just turn my names back on. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing this, right? Clan names, obviously like a guild name. I don't think you can even make those till you're like level 30. So I think my buddy's got some of those a clan already, if they're even still around. I don't know. Minimap, obviously your choice. Controller, I'm using keyboard. You can use a controller, but there's something about a controller here. Let me zoom into this real fast. So on the controller setting, you've got make game believe it is in foreground window, this option right here. If you're using a controller, I think you want to turn that option off. Otherwise, the controller will be read on all of the games together rather than only when broadcasting. I don't play with a controller, so I don't know. I'm all keyboard and mouse, so that's all I know about that. I'm just going to point that out, though, that might be a thing that you run into. Did we not have... Did I turn... Okay, I guess I did. So anyway, keyboard for me. All of this is stuff that you're going to... Personal preference, right? What do you want these options to be? Move and attack. I don't know if these are exactly default, because again, I've played with these and they're saved now. But yeah, force move is set to space there. Stand still, that's what it is. Stand still is left shift. These are all controls that I'm familiar with from Diablo 3. So this is what I stuck with. I might change these skills around because I'm technically an ESDF user, and 1 is a little out of the way to press. I might shift these to like 2, 3, QR. We'll see. I'm probably going to change these buttons up a little bit. We'll set that up as we go along. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what my abilities do right now. So we'll figure it out as we play. And that's the best you can do when you're like, I don't know what to do when I'm in game. All you can do is just set some keybinds and see how it feels. And if it feels bad, change those keybinds up. Yeah, again, ESDF is what I use here. I don't use it to move in game, though, just to be fair. I use the mouse to move in game, but we're going to be eating up these keys with some mapped keys from Iceboxer. Not today. I guess we can do that today, real fast. So there's all these options. Anyway, display. What do you want? Classic. The window display, depending on what you have this set to, it might restrict any changes you can do to the windows on the fly. Like if you had these set to full screen, it might not have taken, if I had this set to full screen, it might not have taken my window layout changes upon export. I might have had to have relaunched the game windows. Every game is going to treat every single one of these window display options differently when it's running. So, you know, this is just Diablo Immortal at the moment. This might not hold true for Rift. This might not hold true for EverQuest 1. Things of that nature, right? So, no, don't touch anything. Change nothing. Mouse lock. Yeah, mouse lock should be off, I believe. People were talking about this was a new setting that they had in they didn't have at launch, but then did they have this at launch? There was something at launch that wasn't set away. A patch came out and it changed that the mouse got locked inside of the window. As you can see, my mouse is not locked inside the window, right? I can freely move it anywhere on the desktop. If your mouse is locked inside of your window, again, could be a window display option here, a setting. You might want to try different ones here. I'm on windowed and nothing, and everything is fine. On top of that, the mouse lock option might be on. And on top of that, you can also try, not that. You can also try lock cursor right here. Lock cursor inside game window when focused. It said if the game requests it, you can set this to yes or no, or on or off, right? So you can try to override the in-game behavior. Not guaranteed, but that's another option you can set. Usually you don't need to touch that at all, because when you run in a windowed mode, the mouse does not get locked to the window in 99% of games that you play, right? So it's just something to point out there. World brightness. Is that why it's so goddamn dark? Who set this to 50%? Huh. Oh, it's just recommend. I didn't set that. That's just what's recommended. All right. Well, we'll try to get reshade fixed, and that'll brighten up our game. Graphics. I have this set to something different here. I did say I had an overlay in game. So this is an overlay that's created by a combination of MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner Statistics Server, or RTSS for short. This is a custom overlay. It's not something I can share. It's actually jank right now. As you can see, some of the headers on the columns are offset. I need to fix that, but laziness is stopping that from happening. This is information for me to show me what's going on. So I'm running 60/60 on all 4 game clients, right? And we can kind of see that. Oh, I'm zoomed in still. Oh my God. Sorry. I'll let it catch up. We're on like a 10-second delay. So I'm making sure that this is caught up here. I think we're catching up on the stream here. Anyway, I normally run 120/90 instead of 60/60. I get better performance in this game going 120/90. But as we can see, and this is just my personal overlay here, that with 60/60 for foreground background and playing on very high settings across the board, everything is set to very high. All of the effects are set to on across the board. And you can see that right now, I'm using an overall usage of my 3090, 10%. That is not for this game client. That is for overall usage of my GPU is 10%. The VRAM setting, the way that I have it set, is per process. So every game client is using whatever it says here, about 300 megabytes. but the overall usage here is for the entire GPU is about 10%. And that doesn't change. Oh, it changes a lot actually when we go out here. I'm sorry. So it's about 40%. It's 10%, about 10% per game plan at 6060. So we got a lot of headroom available that we can turn this up. And when I play like this, there is a little bit of a stutter, a tiny little bit of a stutter. So I will probably change my settings to 120/90, and we can see how that works. But going back into the settings real fast, I was just showing that off. So graphics, again, we just saw everything was turned to very high. Even though this is set to 120 here, I will set a cap on the background frame rate for the background windows in Iceboxer to 90. I'm going to just use it in Iceboxer, but so that this doesn't go crazy at any point. I don't like uncapping my frame rate. I think that's not really an amazing solution to most things. But I've also heard that controller users will have problems if you don't run at a high frame rate. That might have been fixed, and that was a very old issue that I remember hearing about somewhere around launch time of this game, which it's obviously been out for a while now. But that might have been fixed. I don't know how fast they push out fixes for this game when there are problems. Chat is all this stuff, whatever you want to hear. Account, legal, we don't need to look at that. Boring stuff. Am I missing anything? Happy to have you back in the Multiboxing channel. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Yeah, I hate the delay. The delay, I like the 1440 quality, but the delay does kind of suck. But anyway, that's that. We can change. Now, if you're in game, again, if you're in game now, we can also bring up this. You can bring up the task manager. You can hit Control-Shift-Escape. Control-Shift-Escape will bring up the task manager like this. There's other ways to do it, and I honestly don't know. I think in Windows 11, you might be able to right-click on the task bar and go to task manager. I know you can do it in Windows 10, I think. But Control-Shift-Escape is what I always use. So you can look at this. Here we go. We're going to try to get this whole thing in here, or most of it in here. Let me scrunch this down. Oh my God. So one thing when you're looking at this, you have to think that the task manager is now in the foreground, right? It's taking focus off of the game clients. If you're running 60/30, if you're running a different amount of frames in the background, understand that when you focus another program, all of your game clients will be kicked to that background frame rate, right? But because we're running 60/60, I'm getting 60 across all of my game clients. If I were running 60/30, I'd click on this to look at resources, and I'd only be running 30 on all of my game clients, right? So always keep that in mind, that if you're running a different foreground versus background, that if you put something else in focus, everything will fall to the background. So sometimes people will be running like 15 in an MMO or something, right? They'll run like 15 to 20 frames per second in the background. And then when they go to report, when we're like, well, what are you eating up for, resources? And they go to report what they're eating up, and it's like super low, and it's like, it doesn't sound right. It sounds like everything's in the background, So just keep that in mind. But with that, we can see that at 60/60, here's where we're at for usage across the board. Nice and evenly spread apart, I will say. Very sexy. Nice shapes. Very nice shapes. A lot of disks. We're not eating up a lot of memory. The game doesn't eat up a lot of memory. We can come down here to the GPU, and we can see again, we're looking at 3D usage. So there's a few things here for copy and video encode. That's all NVIDIA encoder stuff. But we're looking at 3D load, and 3D load is here. You can barely see it, but it says about 41% right there. It also says it down here. Utilization, 41%, right? And then how much VRAM you're eating up, how much video RAM you're eating up, out of how much you have. So we're only eating up 2 gigs out of 24. Plenty of space left on all of my hardware, right? The other thing to take into account is that just in general, that if you overload your system with a bunch of game clients, you're going to see reduced usage, and you're going to wonder, you'll see something like this where it only says 40%, but you're getting shitty performance. Or you see really low CPU usage, but you're getting shitty performance. And assuming you've exhausted all other options, like changing your CPU strategy and dropping your background frame rates, dropping in-game settings and things of that nature. You might just be overwhelming the operating system and the hardware. When it's overwhelmed, it can't run at full speed, and therefore it's going to run at a reduced speed, or there's going to be a bottleneck somewhere in the rendering pipeline, and you're just not going to see proper usage on the top end like we're looking at here. You're going to get bad readings on the top end, and there's going to be a bottleneck somewhere else. Usually the way that you can identify that is that if you start shutting down a game client at a time, and then all of a sudden magically performance gets better on everything else, well, you're overloading your hardware with too many game clients. So usually not a problem when you're only playing 4, 5, 6 game clients. Some people get a little ridiculous, and then they wonder why they can't run that many game clients. And it's like, well, machines aren't really meant to run that many games, period. So anyway, but you can look at it here in the task manager, or you can get some other program. Again, you don't need a custom overlay, but you can see that we've got a very nice spread of usage across the board. Again, about 40% usage on the GPU. Everything's looking good. 4.8 gigahertz overclock in place. No overclock in the 3090 at the moment, but we could turn it up if we needed to. I don't think we're going to need to, though. But yeah, but we can keep that off for now. Oh, we're going to turn this over to, let's change this to, I'm sorry, that I normally have a stream deck set up with a button that will allow me to zoom in and zoom out much easier. And hopefully, by the time the next stream commences, we'll have that. We had it before, but because I reinstalled everything across the board, I keep forgetting that these little things that I need to keep setting up and getting back to setting up. So we're coming into our window, our character set. We were already there. We can right-click on it, and again, go to CPU Strategy Wizard or Wizards CPU Strategy Wizard. So in here, a complaint that people have, or a mistake that they make, is that you can see that, make sure that I'm centered here, maybe over a little bit more. You can see that we're back to 60-30, right? Background is still set to 30 again. Well, we set it to 60-60, right? We know that. Why does it say 60-30? It's because the wizard doesn't show you anything other than just a default set of numbers that it starts with. It doesn't read your character set and pull information from that. It just is a generic set of numbers that automatically get loaded here. So if we wanted to change this, we could set this to, again, I said I was going to run 120 and 90. And I said to keep them close to each other. This is, in my opinion, this is close enough to each other. There's a lot of frames happening here, right? I could drop this down to 99. I mean, that would work as well. But I think 120 gives me a very smooth looking frame rate on the main screen. I don't know how it's going to come across on the stream itself. But yeah, so we'll do 120/90, and I'll just show that we can crank this way up on my hardware. And I've already tested this before, and it should work fine. Fingers crossed that we don't run into any more problems. We did have a CPU strategy set up before. It doesn't really matter. We didn't have a custom one set up. We could just leave it to what it was set to. It's kind of cut off, but all CPUs with every core. We'll just hit finish. That's it. And now we can double check that it's set this. So we go into slot 1. And again, every slot, you click on the numbers only, not the names of the characters, the numbers. And then you can go to the performance tab, right? So here we go, 120 foreground, 90 background. And then all of our cores are still highlighted. And that's true for every single slot. 120 foreground, yeah. 120, 90, 120, 90, right? So we'll just, and then, did I change that? No, okay. So then we export. And now we can look, we've got 120 here. You can kind of see that. Hopefully you can see that in the stream. 120 here. And you can maybe see that up here. It says 90. You probably can't see that. You'll have to take my word for it. It's definitely 90. And now you can see our usage is at only 60%. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Oh, what did I do? There we go. Put ourselves in a corner, sync it up. So that's pretty good. 60% usage on 120/90. Now, unfortunately, 120 is, it's too much for my hardware. It really pushes the limit there. So 120/90 is pretty good, I think. But we can kind of go through this if I don't mess this up. We'll just, okay, I already messed it up because she started to attack. So we'll just force standstill here. And we're just looking at the other screens. We can't party up yet. which really sucks. So we have to do this solo. You can try to do this together, but if you're new to this, you might get yourself killed. Hell, I did this a few times already over the past several months, and I might die on this next boss that's coming up. So something to keep in mind. But I'm going to switch over to spacebar now, which is force move, so that I don't run into this nonsense again. So hold down left shift, kind of point my cursor in this direction. I do have a fireball ability, apparently. Okay, all that's done. Nope. There's our fireball. Oh, still alive. And we're just shooting off into the distance again because we're not really able to aim. I'm kind of looking around at the other screens to make sure that everybody's dead so that I can move forward. Oh, what did I mess up? Oh, see? Someone was still alive. Are they all desynced now because I messed that up? Kinda. We'll come back. Oh, where did you go? Wow. Where am I? I'm trying to find this landmark here. I see this tree with these yellow leaves, right? So we're all off on our screens. These three are good, and she down here doesn't look good. So what to do? Well, we can just turn off broadcasting on this one game client and then find where the others are at. They're going to be down here somewhere. They're over here, right? We're kind of matching that up visually, that they're by this leafy red-orange bush down here, right? Or what we can do, assuming I don't get myself killed, let's come back down here real fast so that the enemies, if there are any up there, they don't come get me. So the other thing we talked about, hold the control keys, and this will be one of the last things we set up here before we finish off this first boss. And we'll probably call it here because that'll be about 2.5 hours. What am I looking for? The zoom. Where'd you go? Boom. Okay. So under key maps, we've got base hotkeys. Oh man, this is something else I didn't talk about. I'm so bad at this. We set some hotkeys in the wizard, right, for activate maps and repeat and whatnot. And I said you could leave them as default. You can change those later. Well, if you need to change any of the hotkeys for anything ever, you find the key map that they're located in and you change the hotkey for that. Now, if it doesn't end in the word hotkeys, if the key map does not end in the word hotkeys, you probably shouldn't be setting hotkeys in there unless you know what you're doing. Always on is an exception to this because there are already hotkeys set in here. But if you look at toggles, you may be tempted to set hotkeys in here, but these hotkeys will never be disabled. You should not set hotkeys in here. Always on points at the toggles key map. This is complicated, but you'll just have to trust me. If you go into party, there's really nothing in here that you're going to be using as a Diablo Immortal player. So there's really nothing in here that you need to look at. But again, it doesn't end in the word hotkeys, and you don't see that any hotkeys are set. Hotkeys are going to be set. You'll see them along the right-hand side here, along right justified in this pane. Base hotkeys, now we can see there's some hotkeys set in here. Assist and follow don't do anything. This is, there is no assist and follow in Diablo, so these don't do anything. They're just set by default because, again, the wizard just uses a default setup. Combat broadcast doesn't end in the word hotkeys. We should not set any hotkeys in here. These are key maps and map keys. There's a key map that gets called by other key maps. That's complicated, again, but you'll just have to trust me. Hotkeys, here we go. Right, there's more hotkeys in here. Anything with hotkeys, you can change hotkeys. Custom hotkeys is set up for you to put some custom stuff in here later. Right now, we're not concerned about that. Right now, we're worried about base hotkeys because hold the control is in here. So I've got 4 game clients, so 4 windows, Windows 1 through 4. We're just going to set these real fast if I can. I'll be honest, this circle that is around the mouse kind of gets in the way. So in order to set a hotkey, you just click on, I didn't need to do that. We'll look at them though. I didn't need to expand them. I'm sorry. You just click on the name of the mapped key, and over in the upper right here, you'll see hotkey, and there will be nothing set here. If there is something set here and you click on it, you'll see that it's already set here. But I'm going to set ESDF. So E is going to be slot 1. S is going to be slot 2. D is going to be slot 3. And F is going to be slot 4. And now you can see we've got ESDF set right here, right? we need to export. Any changes you make, you have to export. We'll get there in a moment. But what this does, if you want to look in here and try to dissect this, what this does is it's going to kill broadcasting. When you hold this button down, it's going to kill broadcasting to all the other windows other than this one. And so you'll be like in solo mode for that one window. If I hold down D, I will be controlling only slot 3 if broadcasting was on to begin with. I hold down D, kills broadcasting everywhere, focuses only on slot 3 so that I can control her manually and then bring her back. Well, I mean, it's all manual control, but control her specifically to bring her back into the group so that I can re-enable broadcasting by just releasing the key. And that's always a two-step process here. If you look at it, it says pressed or released. And there are 2 steps. So when we press and hold, we're going to execute step 1. When we release, it'll do step 2. That's got some advanced stuff in there for any newcomers. But so we'll turn on broadcasting. And now, if I hold down D and we look at the upper right hand corner there, if I hold down D, I've got a cursor in this window as well, but you can see that only she's moving up there. I'm fucking zoomed in. God damn it. Let's find a corner. I'm sorry. Is everyone here? Okay, everyone's here. Gotta unzoom. I keep forgetting about that. Anyway, now that we're here, we can see the cursor in all of the windows. When I hold down D, we can look at the upper right is the only fake cursor, right? And I can move her in the upper right only. I'm holding down D. And the moment I let go of D, everything comes back. But when you cut off broadcasting, you're going to want to make sure that you let go of your keys, let go of your mouse cursor before you do it. Otherwise, sometimes things get held down accidentally, and you'll find that your characters just end up running off into the distance. So there's hold to control. I was just looking at the OBS stream to make sure that it was all coming through nicely. Anyway, moving along. So if we get desynced, that should be the magic answer that helps us get back in sync. Not always, though. Not always, for sure. We haven't even a new ability. I thought there was okay. Okay, let's see what I mean. Force. Oh, I was getting hit. Is that what was happening? See, I don't know what's going on with slot 2 and slot 4. Did they not trigger the event? This is what sucks when you're not partied up. So we might have to redo this and just have 1 and 3 shoot off into the distance. I guess they didn't. Or did they get it? Oh, no, they didn't. They totally... Oh, that's so weird. So I'm only looking at slots 2 and 4 at the moment. That's because we're trying to play 4 solo characters in 4 different instances. There we go. Now we're all synced up here. So here's a boss. We might die, but oh, let me turn this off. Okay, so we're gonna go back. I don't think I reached her. Try to get out of the way. Okay. We got stuff in different happening in different screens at different times. Yeah, so slot 2 is probably going to be a little jacked up here. She's still aiming in the right direction, but I don't think she's done as much damage. It doesn't really work like this when the fight goes on for too long. All right, we got 1 down, 2 down, almost 3 down. And then we can swap over to this slide, just play her solo for a moment. Nope, that was it. Okay. Cool. It's a lot more difficult than that when bosses actually do things. So, but we would be in a party at the same time. Pick up the gold. 4. Okay. We probably got some gear, as it's telling me, and some stuff. Open the inventory. Right click. No. Oh. Sorry, it's a mobile game. We have to click and tap. All right, well, that's cool. New skills available. Skills. Click. Oh, click there. Equip here. Okay, there's all that. When we walk up here, we get this little... I mean, we could try to finish this, I guess. I don't know what's after the next boss. And the next boss, I actually can't do multi-boxing. I have to do them solo. So apparently slot 2 is not synced up with everybody. This is multi-boxing. This comes with the territory every single time. You're going to run into desync issues all the time. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is super easy or anything like that. It's work. It takes time getting used to. Someone was recently just posting videos of them doing some sort of content. I forget what it was. That was in a Diablo series channel in the Icebox Discord. You are out of sync though. But see, again, we can, if she's really out of sync, right? She's way down here, and I come back here, and everyone's slot 1, slot 3, and slot 4 are all in the right spot, but slot 2, and again, I know that's a little small to see on the stream probably, but I've got a gigantic 43-inch display in front of me. So I'm just going to hold down S, which is for slot 2. I'm going to walk her back to approximately where everyone else is at, which is, no, she was down there. That's the root. Okay, they're like right there. So then we're going to turn broadcasting back on and go. And you can see the value of having the quick repeater toggle on your mouse so you can just quickly hit it, or on a more easily accessible button on your keyboard, as opposed to hitting Shift-Alt-R, right? Shift-Alt-R doesn't work in the long run if you're hitting it on the keyboard every single time. People are like, man, this is incredibly annoying. Yes, it is incredibly annoying, which is why we do recommend finding, she was apparently one dialogue. Why did you, oh, my bad. Okay. It's probably safe to stop it here. We'll keep going. Oh no, oh no. Where's my, oh, it's the 1 key. What? That sucks. And we're probably gonna get beat up a little bit, and the problem here now is that we'll be going through potions. Oh. We'll be going through potions and wasting them on certain characters. But stand still and, nope, we're slow. Now we're slow. We're in trouble. This is where we're going to want to resync somewhere. She's about to die. And, oh my God, force move. I'm just running back over here to sync up in the corner. I think spiders are coming after me. Yeah. We'll just stand there. Come on, slot 3. Can we get her? No. Okay. I think we still have slot 2. Didn't get that. Nope, she didn't do that. Again, I know it looks weird on all the other windows. Oh, slot 3's got one. But slot 2 is still fighting. She's stuck. She's stuck. I could switch to her window, but... Oh, we got wolves down here. Sync it up. Sync it up. Kind of. Kind of. Sync it up. Okay, we're synced up. Oh, God. Are we in trouble? We're in trouble. We're trying to watch for... I'm just standing here at the moment. We're trying to watch for Oh my God, you're stuck on the tree. 3. We're gonna hit Q. Drink it up. There's a lot of this. Because we're not playing in the same instance, so it's all... E can come back over here. Where are you? S can come back over here. And we can go, kind of. Oh my God. We're shooting. You play from a certain window and it's completely out of sync on the others. You just got to survive for a little while. I don't know how long this intro scenario is. I've never fully completed it. But this would be better because the enemies would all be shooting at you at the same time, and you would just handle it that way. Do we have to drink another potion? We only have so many potions. Oh my God, these things still aren't dead across the board. And you. Yeah, this is why we have to take the next boss. Where are you going? Where are we? Holy shit. All right, so we're by this dude. You come here. No, you're further along. Okay, come back. Where's that dude at? Oh, wow, you were way out of the way. You're here, okay, and you're already there. All right, back to business. Follow the footsteps. How did you get caught on something? This fucking game. Everyone's by the fire. Wow, you were way off.
This must be the cavern the god spoke of.
So this is where the hold the control keys come in handy. We can upgrade these in a little bit. I mean, and another stream. But we got to get in here. I'm just going to run to the... well, we don't have to run specifically. I guess we can try this, but we just need to go a little bit further. And let's just go a little bit further. Does it work? Oh, it does, but... Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm stunned. Get over here. Oh, you follow! They follow! Oh, no! They follow! I'm dead. I didn't know they come through the thing. I thought that barrier... There's a barrier. You can see it. You can see it as I... Here, you can see it in her window. There's a barrier right here that you can't get out. I didn't think the enemies could get in. Whoops. I died. So let them run away. I don't know if they re-aggro. I have no idea. But this is where the second boss is, where we have to do this one at a time. Because I tried to do this before, and it's pitiful. Do they come back? No. Why did she have something explode on her? Anyway, doesn't matter. Apparently I can't hit them. I'm too high. Oh my God. Only one of them is in range. Huh. Okay. Wow, this is bad. Okay. Nope. Almost. Okay. So now I think the boss is right up over here. There's a chest right here. I think we got another potion. Oh, God. What did you aggro? How did you aggro more? Oh, you did aggro more. Okay. Do you need to drink more potions already? Man, these girls are thirsty. She's gonna die. She's dead again. I'm not even in the boss yet. Yeah, when it comes to these solo things, and I think we have to do several of these. I was told that there are several of these throughout the game where you get torn out of your party and you have to do solo scenarios like this. So I would... people were saying that they either kill the trash together and then they do the bosses solo. That helps, but even if you're not comfortable with that, these are the guys that apparently... Look how easy they are when you just fight them solo. Okay. So I guess... Is that it? Is it boss time? Yeah, it's boss time. So we'll do this one at a time here. Oh, you're not... Oh, I am fighting him now. Okay. So there's an ultimate ability. I think I'm going to save that till the next one. This guy looks pretty easy now, but he does... he gets like these mirror images and he does other stuff. Okay, apparently that interrupted my kill. Oh, this is perfect. Am I getting killed while the cutscene's going on? Can't skip the cutscene though. Oh, I kind of getting beat up. Yeah, and he's going to teleport around a little bit. Oh my god. So I've got this big ultimate thing that I want to use. Like that. Where'd you go? Whoops. There's some potions. Or are those just health globes? Yeah. See, it makes a lot more sense to do this solo when you've got to run around like this. This is a whole lot easier solo. I promise you. Because he's going to teleport to all kinds of different spots on the map when you're trying to play this. Now, I've not been past this point. We go to like some town after this, and that's where we can call it. And scene. Okay, give me my health back. Give me all this. And we'll just do this on one character at a time. It's, oh my god, you're not even done with these. Bruh. Okay, we'll let all your cooldowns cool down, and we'll go play this on another character then. Unless you also have the dogs to kill. No. No, we're good here. Okay. We'll wait to use that ultimate ability whenever he gets his mirror image is up, because this should not take long at all. Wow. Wow, we are kicking his ass. Oh, no. I don't think I get hit during this time. I think it's just whatever's happening. I think I'm immune during the cutscene. God, I hope I am. Oh, I must be, yeah. Let's just get rid of these little guys. I think he summons more, but... Come on. See, force move kind of stops. Oops, wrong button. Drink that up. Come over here. Slay into this guy. You can kill these things as well, but they just keep coming back. Got some health globes on the floor. Go, go, force move. There's something about force move that just isn't exactly the same as it was in like Diablo 3. It's a little less reliable, so be ready to spam that spacebar a little bit. Wow, he was not teleporting at all. That's amazing. That's gorgeous. Okay, you're done. We'll come back to you. Yeah, not super exciting to multi-box the game solo like this, but I promise that it's there's things like when they get frustrated, you just take them on solo and get past them and get back to multi-boxing. That's really all you can do. Oh. Oh, I have key maps on. That's why. Okay. I was wondering why the others were casting. I didn't even notice it. Yeah, now she's got... Okay. I thought my spells were supposed to have some telegraphed areas, but I wasn't noticing this. Now they're there. That's so weird that I wasn't noticing them before. Is that it? Oh, I'm attacking the... No. Okay, I thought I was attacking the wrong guy. There we go. Okay, next, you. Oh, you're not done with the dogs. How come we got telegraphs back already? So weird. He didn't really teleport very far, did he? Wow. Get me out of here. Okay. Oh my god. These things are tough, man. Get your mirror images out here. Man, gotta get to a spot here. You freaking got yourself in the corner. Thanks, dude. Gonna be the hardest guy to fight. Got one more health globe. Do I need it? Not yet. We combo the fireball with the, oh, now we need it.
I require aid.
Oh, there it is.
Studies have
Cool.
paid off, it seems.
All right. That was a lot easier as someone who did this, oh, key map's on, right? There, and there. Get all the text up there. Oh, it's not a click.
All right, friend.
Apparently they give different... Interesting. They give different text. Wow. Okay, so you click there. You click here. Oh, you already went, and you click here. Okay. And this is as far as I've ever made it in this game. And that's probably what we'll call this here. Almost 3 hours. 2 hours of me bumbling around in Iceboxer, rambling incoherently, out of order, helping very few people, but getting the raw Mirai. We probably won't get another stream in until Monday. I got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be, I got a little charity event thing that I got to do tomorrow afternoon. I'm probably going to be I got to practice for that tomorrow, and then I might be a little burned out afterwards. And then this weekend, because Dragonflight just came out for World of Warcraft, I've been sucked into the game. It's a lot of fun, and not currently multiboxing it, but I am going to be doing a bunch of I'm kind of what is that word? Kind of just getting used to the layout of the land and the quests and the dungeons. We're going to be getting into dungeons and PvP this weekend. Some of that will actually be streamed, not on this channel. I have another channel though. Turn this off, unfocus that. In the future, it'll be probably this will be where we're at this weekend, assuming I stream. Any solo gameplay and whatnot is going to be over there. I also have a Twitch channel, which is the same MIR4I on Twitch. That is where we are going to do the charity event tomorrow. I'm all over the place. I would keep everything on Twitch, but I've already explained this before, and I'll have to explain it again and again and again because it's important to know that Twitch's upstream bitrate restrictions, quite frankly, suck. 6 megabits per second upstream, you can't really do much with that when it comes to quality. I'm hoping today's quality looked good, at least visually. The person, the narrator, the helper, assistant, instructor behind the microphone was a little off balance today in teaching, but we're getting back into the flow of things for sure. Yeah, so hopefully the quality itself of the stream was good, and I imagine it was at 1440. We are also recording locally, but Twitch at 6 megabits per second sucks. So we don't use Twitch for anything other than stuff that looks fine at 6 megabits per second and below. But I've been streaming on Twitch for well over a year at this point, so that's where I got started. But brought it over to YouTube for the multiboxing stuff because why not use the Multiboxology channel, right? It's multiboxing related, and we'll just stick with the multiboxing stuff here. And I figured that I'm not reaching a lot of people multiboxing on Twitch, right? Maybe one day, maybe not. I don't know. But there's that. And then the Mirai channel on YouTube is for high quality, high bitrate streaming. So again, something like World of Warcraft or any other solo played game that isn't like retro. Retro games are probably going to be kept over on Twitch because I've got a lot of established user base, viewer base over on Twitch. So anyway, that was it for Diablo Immortal for today. I wish it was a little bit more informative. I regret not having notes for today. And yeah, that was unfortunate. Maybe I'll have to chop up this video. Maybe I'll just make a scripted video to help people set this up. But sometimes it does help for others to watch this get set up in real time for the simple fact that I don't know, there's that connection, right? It's not just like a scripted video. It's like I'm here doing it now, and you can watch me and you can follow along. And even though you can do that with a scripted video, it's a little less personal. So I don't know. But yeah, thanks for checking out the first Multiboxology stream that's returned. There will be more videos and more streams on this channel, multiboxing related, coming in the future. Again, I don't think we're going to get to anything until Monday because Saturday and Sunday, I didn't finish that schedule. Saturday and Sunday, I will probably be sucked into solo World of Warcraft gameplay as we not only do a bunch of heroics and try to get into some Mythic Zeros, maybe some Battlegrounds, but I also want to start leveling another character as well. And I still have a UI to work with. The UI, I will say, is looking pretty good. And it should work well for multiboxing. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, yeah. Thanks for checking out the stream. Diablo Immortal, not the most exciting game in the world, but you can hang out and see some real-time multiboxing, and that's that. But again, thank you, and hopefully see you in the next stream. I never know how to end these things. So, peace out, everyone. I'll see you in the next stream. Hopefully this doesn't cut out earlier than sometimes YouTube does it. So anyway, goodbye, everyone. I love you. See you in the next stream. See you on Discord. See you around. Adios.